Just send me location.
You know, they're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I am gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chin. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? What is up, Mixed Combat Radio family? It's a live fight chat edition. Yeah, air horns. Yes. It's going to be a dual one. It could be a triple one by the end of it with the Bellator card. But obviously, Canelo versus Rocky Fielding on DAZN. UFC on Fox 31. Kevin Lee versus Iaquinta 2. The final UFC on Fox show, the end of an era in MMA. A ton to talk about. Of course, I'm joined today by the illustrious, the great Mr. Anthony Walker of ShareDog.com. How you doing, Anthony?
What's good, man? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Obviously, great to have you in studio finally. It's been a while. It's been a making.
Yeah,
it's been a process.
Finally made it to the studio, man.
And it's good, right? It's
good.
Bad.
Yeah, it's good. I'm just still pissed off about that LA traffic, man. It's Saturday. Where are y'all going?
They're going to the fight.
Yeah, the fight.
In Milwaukee,
UFC
man.
Fights in Milwaukee.
Yeah, man, you got to drive.
Canelo's fighting in New York.
That's why there's so much traffic, man. They got to get there.
Yeah, y'all are late.
But obviously, there's so much to talk about. We should have Mr. Robbie Hearns on later as well to talk about, obviously, with us, the Canelo card and Golden Boy on DAZN and that first venture for them. But first, let's talk a little bit about UFC on Fox 31. And since there's no fights on, we can talk more grand schemes or grand aspects of the sport. The end of the era. Should we rate the era now? Like, how good has the Fox era been for the UFC?
Fox era has been excellent for the UFC. So since then, like, the sport has grown a whole lot. I mean, a $4 billion purchase, 4.2. Actually, I think the final evaluation was closer to 5 after the Fertitta brothers' share was bought out. That minority stake that they retained was bought out. So you're looking at close to $5 billion that the company sold for. You see now they're moving up to ESPN, which is the pinnacle of sports programming. They've kind of pushing the idea of streaming television as well. So there are a lot of good things that are going on for the UFC. There are some things as far as the way WME is running the organization that I take issue with. But as far as a broadcasting entity, they've definitely moved up.
I agree with that. I think obviously ESPN, just compared to Fox Sports, is leaps and bounds a better format, better platform, obviously. I think the Fox era is going to be one that we debate for a long period of time because there obviously have been great benefits to it. I said this on, I think, yesterday's show. I don't know if you listened to it, but in the era of, like, the beginning of the Fox era, we had the rise of not only Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, but revolutionary fighters like Dominic Cruz, Cain Velasquez, John Jones, like, all that simultaneously happened in the era of the UFC joining one of the big four networks, right? Being in 100 million plus homes. That timing was perfect for MMA. there was a legit explosion with just the casual awareness for MMA. Maybe the average viewerships or buy rates of pay-per-views have gone down, but overall, I think more people know about MMA than ever before, right? Because of the Fox era. It's the same era that we've had, again, lowest pay-per-views in almost 20 years. But on top of that, the best pay-per-view of all time in UFC history with 2.4 million buys with, obviously, Conor McGregor versus Khabib that happened a few months ago. And again, I think for maybe not us, because I don't think we were necessarily the best historians of MMA, but 20 years down the line, this era is going to be weird. It's going to be one that definitely has its flaws, its negatives, but a lot of positives. I don't know which one's going to weigh out for the legacy of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sport itself is in a great transition period, and we can't really tell what it's going to look like. We're way too close to the action. I think this is an era that we're going to look back on 10, 15 years from now and then be able to generate some legit context over what it is. There's just way too many things that are going on, too many plates spinning right now for us to really have a definitive idea of what the end of the Fox era actually means.
Yes.
But look at it this way. So when they came to Fox, they were originally on Spike TV, and that was a broadcast partner, and that was the perfect marriage at the time.
Yes.
Spike TV needed some sort of steady programming beyond reruns of Cops that was going to bring in that demographic that they were seeking.
I mean, the Tough Boom. I mean, I know it doesn't get talked about as much anymore for some reason, but the Tough Boom was really the first boom era of MMA history in the U.S., and that led the way for a Fox deal, for an ESPN deal, etc.
Right, because I think the Fox deal represents the first time that the UFC didn't have to rely on sort of fringe entities to boost its platform.
Yes.
Because before Spike, there was that partnership that they had. They had some sort of a loose partnership with Fox. It was like some obscure Fox.
They had the one Fox show where
the best damn sports show.
Yes, where Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell went on, and they had their spathing in their second fight. I want to say
I think they had Chuck Liddell fight Vitor Belfort on that show as well. It was like 67.5. I believe it was, and and it was some strange things. They had to find, they were on the back of a program hosted by Tom Arnold. Like that was the definition of fringe programming.
And Tom Arnold, best known now for getting in a fight with what's his name? That's the Trump supporter, right? Remember that happened like a few months ago? That's Tom Arnold, right? The weird intersection of MMA and real life.
He was most known for Roseanne Barr divorcing him. Like that was his claim to fame, is that he was married to Roseanne Barr at one point in time. And he was Schwarzenegger's sidekick in True Lies. So I'll give him that. That was my favorite Tom Arnold thing. But before we turn this into a Tom Arnold podcast,
because that's what it should be, right?
Hey, Tom Arnold deserves
the legend that is Tom Arnold,
the incredible Tom Arnold. But like. So they went from, going off the back of a Tom Arnold helm show to then going to Spike TV, which at the time was literally just running reruns of Cops all the time. And weird programming like 1,000 Ways to Die.
Mansers.
And Blue Mountain State. And just really... I enjoyed the show.
Blue Mountain State was good, though.
Blue Mountain State was dope.
Yeah, that was actually a decent show.
1,000 Ways to Die was my jam, though. I used to mess with that a lot.
There was some wild episodes towards the end. But quickly, just to move away from this before we have to head to the Sergio Pettis-Rob Font fight. Rob, we see you. How are you doing, man? Mr. Robbie Hearns.
Good, all good. How are we?
What's up?
Doing good. Obviously, since you're going to be talking predominantly, or only, I should say, about the Canelo fight, let's talk briefly about DAZN and the Canelo deal, so to speak. How big does it feel on fight day for you? I've been talking about temperature checks all week, fight week leading up to this fight. Rob, what's the final temperature check out there for Canelo and DAZN?
Yeah, it seems to have really picked up today, I think. Obviously you got the main sort of writers all tweeting about it. A lot of fighters are talking about it. A lot of fighters are there.
Rob, quickly, I don't mean to interject, but your connection seems a little bit odd, like MIDI that one time. Leave the chat and come back. I'll go right to you, man. I'm sorry. There's just some clicking noises and stuff. Sergio Pettis, Rob Font, UFC on Fox 31 coming up right now.
And here we go.
Sergio Pettis looking significantly smaller against Rob Font.
Yeah, Sergio is a really small guy. I don't know if you've ever seen him in person, but I covered 229 and briefly interviewed him. I mean,
he's a flyweight.
He's a tiny guy. Another surprising thing about Sergio Pettis, not a comic book fan. I was very surprised by that. Not a comic book fan. He just strikes me as the guy who has a big collection of Iron Man.
He definitely seems like a nerdy guy, right?
Yeah, but he's not. I should have talked to him about hip hop, but I talked to Derek Lewis about hip hop instead.
That's probably smarter.
Yeah.
I can see the difference there. Let's be honest. Yeah. And plus, Anthony Pettis was. Remember that era, like in 2013, where like every fight poster, I forget who was making them. Was it Fight Posium or something like that? Was making the comic book covers.
Oh yeah, they had the 181 poster.
Yeah.
But that was the best poster in UFC history.
Yes.
Maybe I am biased because I am such a comic book nerd.
You probably are.
Yeah.
The Anderson Silva one was great. Remember that one?
Yes, I do remember that.
That was a good one as
that
well.
was a good one. Yeah.
Sergio Pettis, in my opinion, obviously needs to keep this standing, needs to get his leg kicks going, needs to get the jab going. But that's that reach disadvantage, Rob Font's overall like scrappiness, his ability to play spoiler. It's gonna be a tough fight for Pettis, and he needs to win this one to stay relevant.
And Rob Font is very good at using his jab. He makes that a very difficult weapon to get around with that reach, and he's a decent boxer in and of itself. So he's not the guy that you're really just going to walk down and do damage to. Like, you have to get really crafty to get inside, especially now with Sergio with that physical disadvantage going up to bantamweight. It's and I wonder too, man, if
he's getting
Sergio,
out jab right now too.
If Sergio Pettis won his fight at 229 against who was that he fought?
It was Jose Benavidez.
No, it wasn't Benavidez.
Joseph Benavidez, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Benavidez. It was, man. Why am I forgetting this?
I can look it up. I'll look it up.
Brazilian cat.
As we're thinking about it,
I just had his name and I just.
Who's your
it.
Formiga?
Yes, Formiga.
Formiga,
yes, Formiga. Yeah, I think had he won that fight, I think maybe there would have been a little more nudge for the UFC to decide, okay, we'll keep the flyweights around.
Because there's another clear contender in the mix.
Exactly.
And it's a Pettis brother.
A guy that you clearly can sell.
Yeah.
His brother was the face of the UFC for that brief point in time.
Well, Sergio Pettis, in terms of like metrics online, does better than almost any other flyweight. In terms of interview, like views on YouTube, like his interviews on like MMA fighting, they do very good numbers.
Right.
Compared to other flyweights who just don't get that shine. Rob, you're back. What's up?
Yeah, all good. Ryan Garcia is just getting in the ring just for the boxing.
Yeah, your connection sounds bad. I don't know what's up. Are you on Wi-Fi?
No, I'm off Wi-Fi.
Huh. I mean, MIDI sound good. It might just be you, homie. I don't know what's up. Restart your computer.
All right, I'll be back again.
Be back. I'm sorry, Rob, but it sounds like you're on Wi-Fi. It sounds weird.
It's fine, audio whore. I'll be back.
Hey, I'm just here for the greatest podcast available, and you're just going to miss Ryan Garcia. It's okay. The most overrated prospect in all of combat sports.
Oh, nice trip takedown.
God damn.
Very nice trip takedown.
It is. And interesting because Rob Font was still winning on the feet. Like, he didn't need that takedown, in my opinion. He was out jabbing. He was going to the body a lot, too. His leg kicks were on point. Sergio Pettis seemed out of range, out of his depth right there on the feet. I'm surprised he even went for the takedown.
Yeah, but, I mean, when you're still the bigger guy, you can get on top and smother the smaller one a lot easier. Rob Font is no slouch on the ground either.
True.
So, and also, too, the Pettis brothers, their game from the ground is built on finding those submission opportunities. And if you don't offer that submission opportunity, you stay chest to chest, you smother, you land some short shots, it really disrupts everything that they can try to do.
Rob Font coming off of the Rafael Sunsao loss, no shame at all in that. Rafael Sunsao is probably like a John Fitch.
He deserves the bantamweight title shot and has for quite some time.
He is arguably the greatest fighter of all time to never get a title shot. He's in that argument.
He's in the discussion.
Because guys like John Fitch, they at least got a title shot.
True.
Like he's not even in with that group because they at least got their chance. Sunsao has never had that chance.
It would have been Bisping had he not got that last minute one at 199.
It probably would be Bisping, but Sunsao, unfortunately, might be in that category alone right now. I can't really think of anyone that's as prominent that we talk about as never getting a title shot.
Yeah, that's I'd have to think really long about that one. Let's see what we got here.
Good jab by Font, man.
Very, very nice.
And Sergio Pettis, he's that half step too far back.
His face is already marked up. Mm-hmm. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but just the look on his face, it seems like not the damaged look, but more so the expression on his face. is more like, oh man,
he's concerned.
Yeah,
you can
I
tell
think
he's thinking.
overwhelmed.
He's thinking right now, trying to figure it out, and he's concerned. That fight or flight, mentality. Quickly, Ryan Garcia and Braulio Rodriguez about to start on the DAZN Canelo versus Rocky Fielding card. I'll also talk about that as well, even though I'm not the biggest Ryan Garcia fan. And since you're more of an MMA guy, have you heard of Ryan Garcia?
No, I mean I've heard the name, but I've never watched him fight.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to offer any real.
No, it's okay. I'm
insight on him.
again just curious about the awareness of him outside that boxing bubble.
You know what? I wonder if I've seen him fight, because I've covered a few boxing events in the area, and he might have been on an undercard or something.
He's definitely been on some ESPN cards as of late.
Okay.
So you probably may have seen him on that as well. I mean, he's a talented guy. He fought like guys like Devin Haney in the amateurs. Has like 900,000 Instagram followers, like some insane number. Like all the teenage girls love him.
I mean, he's almost as good looking as me.
Hold on.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
It's okay, Ant. It's okay, man. Hashtag bring the sexy back, right?
The sexy never left, man. I never went anywhere.
Sergio Pettis still just looks so uncomfortable in there.
Yeah, the way he's retreating, it's
Ooh,
like
God.
It's almost like retreating without a real purpose other than getting away from the punishment.
And again, Rob Font going to the body at really expert times. His timing right now and his boxing combinations have been nothing but perfect. His accuracy has been there. Sergio Pettis is always in the range of Rob Font right now, and that's a big concern.
Big time.
I said this before we went on air that if Sergio Pettis doesn't win this fight, like I am no longer really checking in for Sergio Pettis fights. Like I'm no longer thinking of him as anything close to a title contender at all.
Yeah, this will say a lot about him if he can't get past Rob Font, which the way
like
this fight is going, it doesn't look like he will. You can't really look at him as an elite bantamweight. I mean, he was barely an elite flyweight.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And had he gotten over Formiga, then we could really start talking about what he'd look like with a title shot. And it's funny too, because I know at one point Demetrius Johnson actually campaigned to fight him. I think ahead of the Ray Borg fight. When they tried to make him fight Dillashaw, and
he brought up Sergio Pettis.
Yeah, and he was like, "Well, bring Sergio Pettis up. He's on a win streak. He's actually in my division. Let's make that happen." And they crapped on that idea and insisted on Ray Borg, and then they kind of morphed to TJ Dillashaw, then back to Ray Borg.
Quickly, I mentioned on the Boxing Voice on Thursday's preview show of what I wanted to see from Ryan Garcia since moving to Canelo's gym and training with Eddie Reyneso, obviously Canelo's trainer. I definitely see some improvement in his guard. It's the first round still, halfway through the first round. Still need to see, obviously, more of it, but just his guard is so much better than it was before. That lead hand's not down and dragging water when he's throwing the jab as much. That's a good sign. And also, this opponent isn't that good. Rob, you're there. What's up?
Yeah, and he's already on his ass on the floor.
Oh, you sound so much better right now. Thank you. Did he already get knocked down?
Garcia's already got a knockdown. 40 seconds left in the.
You're ahead of me by 30 seconds. Oh my God! Come on, DAZN.
DAZN is really shitting the bed, man.
And you know what? This stream has buffered a lot. I'll be honest. Rob, I know you're obviously a big DAZN defender, and I am too, because I think again, 2 Canelo pay-per-views in today's market costs $150 a year. With DAZN, the year subscription, it's $30 less. So I'm okay with that. But they need to fix the buffering issues. Good knockdown by Ryan Garcia. Braulio, a.k.a. the Dominican Nightmare himself, Nestor's cousin, definitely looks out of his depth.
He looks awful.
He looks bad.
Terrible. His stance, he's got up from the knockdown, and oh my God.
Oh, he's getting punished right now. Garcia might want to consider a career in MMA with that elbow he snuck in. See him framing with the forearm? I thought he was about to throw a knee.
Rob, I missed most of the Katie Taylor fight because I was setting up. And it buffers again. What happened with the Katie Taylor fight? How did she look?
Yeah, she looked great. It's possibly her best performance. She won every round. on the actual judges' cards. So that's not just me saying it. She just beat her up. She really looked like she wanted to get the knockdown, but fair play to Eva Wallström. She proved tough and durable, but she just got styled on completely. She had a cut on the head from a accidental headbutt, and then there was another cut. She just looked beat up.
Yeah, I was in and out and seeing it, and she just looked dominant. Like, it looked like a classic Katie Taylor performance where she's just in and out, outbox, and using that jab, going into the body, and just styling on Wallström. Even though, like you said, Wallström looked to be tough. Like, she was taking shots. She was cut up early.
Yeah, and it seemed like the attendance in the garden just sort of tripled as Katie Taylor was coming out. Obviously, I guess New York's got a good Irish.
Yeah.
Presence.
Rob Font going with the submission, misses it. Went for looked like either a key lock or a Kimura. And also, Rob, like, it's not only the Irish audience, but it is just later in the day. Like, it's finally closer to the main event. We assume those early fights have no one in the stands. That's just America right there.
Yeah, it did look pretty empty, but
almost as empty as HBO's last card.
Wow, yeah, that empty.
Sorry, HBO.
But yeah, I don't know if you remember the classic. I forget who it was against, but Sugar Ray Leonard, when he just like let go about 50 body shots in a clinch, he just let his hands go real fast. Katie Taylor done that a couple of times, and the crowd kind of really lifted. But you could tell she was really pressing for the knockout. But like I say, the girl there from Finland, she just proved she wouldn't go down. So shout out to her. But I think that was her 7th fight with Katie Taylor, and she's 7-0 against Katie Taylor. She had 6 fights in the amateurs. Oh my God, the guy's just done the alley shuffle against Ryan Garcia
when he's losing.
Yeah.
Hey, that's that Dominican in him, man. They're all like that. It's okay. Ryan Garcia, I will say this, a little bit better head movement from what I see. He's been slipping shots a little bit more, but the lateral movement is still is not there.
It's all straight lines, right?
It's all straight lines still. But again, still the first camp with Eddie Renee, so I'm not expecting huge changes, but I am expecting some. I'm expecting more than what I've seen thus far. It still looks like the same Ryan Garcia of old in a sense.
But maybe he's had an early knockdown. I know it's a chance to sort of show what you've been learning, but when the level of competition isn't that great, I guess some of it gets abandoned, and you just, what is this guy doing? Oh, sorry. You'll catch up in 30 seconds. Oh, my God.
Yo, just pause your shit and wait 30 seconds. Okay. That's right. The Sky app doesn't let you pause, huh?
No, it's real whack.
Can you imagine that? Anthony, can you imagine like UFC Fight Pass not having like a pause option?
Oh, man, I would lose my mind.
How does that happen?
That's crazy. That should just be a really basic feature. God forbid you got to
pause and play.
Take a piss.
That's all you need.
I've got volume. I can change the volume.
There you go. You're set, man. That's all you need.
Good job. Otherwise, we'd be playing live audio all over the feed. So at least we've got that.
Man, Rob Font just looking good. Sergio Pettis, though, to his credit, has looked better in this round.
Yeah, he's landing some more shots. He's snuck in a couple good body kicks, but I think it's too little, too late.
Yeah, it's not enough. Unless we have the judges from the Drakkar Close Bobby Green fight, which I know you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I didn't see that one yet.
God damn, that was sad to see. Robbery. That was a legit robbery.
I mean, there's always some questionable scorecards in MMA.
Every event, man.
Every single event.
It's boxing too. I mean, there's at least one fight that has questionable scorecards on every event you can find.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Although I do think that in general, combat sports fans are way too quick to throw the word robbery out.
Of course.
I know you're smarter than that. You know better. Yeah. So when you say robbery, then I'm sure it's a total railroad.
It was. Obviously, like, I'm always in the mindset, like, it was one round apart. It's hard to call it a robbery, but those first 2 rounds was clear as day. I mean, I don't know how you can score for Drakkar Close. He looked out of his game, was not pressing the issue at all. Drakkar Close being a really athletic, aggressive guy, right? Likes to be in close, in the inside, exchanging, dirty boxing style. And he was on the outside looking lost for those first 2 rounds, getting pieced up. I don't know how a judge gave him one of those rounds. The third round he won, absolutely. But 1 and 2, I cannot see it, not at all.
Was it on the scale of like Ross Pearson, Diego Sanchez?
Ooh, Yeah, it's up there.
Oh man,
it's up there.
If it's that bad, then somebody needs to lose their job.
Like I honestly, like somebody should get pulled from the fight right now, from the event, and get taken back and said, "Explain the scorecard to me, please."
Yeah, something's got to be done to fix the judging, because I think a lot of times fight fans are gonna be really quick to say corruption.
They always say that. Yeah.
Somebody's getting paid off. I just think a lot of these people are really stupid. I think that's the common thread.
I've explained it this way to people to try to help them understand it. These people that are judges and refs, they're government appointees by other government appointees. So the oversight of them is little to none. They are usually friends or they know the commission heads most of the time. Like the Adelaide Bird and her husband obviously
are so trash.
Are a noted example of this, where it's just what's the term? Nepotism. Like it's pure nepotism in a way with these judges and refs in terms of regulation with commissions. So until we change that aspect, I don't know how we change it up, because we don't see a real influx of people like rushing to that job. It's the same people every year after year, and when those people die, it's gonna be their kids. It's gonna be somebody they know. That's just the way it is, and the only real solution to that is actually having these commission officials be elected officials.
Even then, man, it's just
because at least we have some voice in who gets appointed at the head of the commission.
Maybe people will turn out to vote for that.
I can see MMA fans turning out to vote for that.
It's a very vocal group. I mean,
it's a minority, but it's a group.
Boxing fans as well.
Yes.
I mean, it's very dedicated fan bases that are very vocal about what they feel and support their guys. I really think that when you look at the problems with athletic commissions, you got to keep in mind that these are the same governments that don't know how to put salt on the road if it snows, or they'll screw up picking up the trash and, basic things that to us seem very simple. But you think about fight regulation, how complex it has to be. And these same guys are in charge of that. Something's definitely going to go wrong.
And I really implore anyone, if they haven't yet, go watch the commission hearing. Go watch like the Nick Diaz one on YouTube, right?
What a shit
just
show.
To really get a contextualized understanding of what a commission is, how they operate, how they run, how they think,
or do they think? Like that's
the lack thereof.
I'm telling you, whenever I think one of the worst things that ever happened for the Nevada Commission was when UFC Fight Pass started airing some of the hearings, because those fools got cameras in front of them and they turned into showmen. I mean, it might as well have been a fucking circus. It was a clown show. When what commission hearing was it? It was that one time that Chael Sonnen was supposed to fight Vitor Belfort, and then one of them got replaced with Vanderlei Silva, and all three of them popped hot.
Yeah, I remember
all three of them pissed hot.
Great.
And
they asked Chael for help.
Oh my God, it was the dumbest thing. Chael Sonnen had repeatedly screwed over the commission.
Tested positive numerous times
lied to the commission
for clear steroids. It's not like it was like marijuana or cocaine.
John Jones's sex pills.
No, it was this motherfucker did like Nanderon or like one of those heavy duty steroids.
And he was taking fertility drugs and stuff like that bodybuilders use to cycle off of steroids. And this fool, they brought this fool in there.
That's before. Was that before Bob Bennett?
That was.
I want to say it was before Bob Bennett.
And Pat Lundvall was definitely there.
But I don't think Kaiser was there, right? That was after Kaiser.
I think it was Keith Kaiser. I want to say that Keith Kaiser was there.
I don't remember.
But all of them are clowns.
I remember them specifically saying, like, "Can you help us with?"
Yeah, and they offered the man a job.
Yeah, they offered him a job.
Like he just screwed everybody, and they offered him a job. Then 10 minutes later, they tell Vanderlei Silva for his first. Granted, he did run away from the commission test, but for his first violation, they banned him for life.
Lifetime ban.
And Vitor Belfort, who also was a multiple-time offender, slap on the wrist. You're good to go. You're good to go in a few months. Like this was the epitome of stupidity. There was nothing intelligent about that entire hearing, and they all were looking at the camera, smiling. That the John Jones hearings have been a total joke.
I still think the Nick Diaz one. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Nick Diaz fan, but when he was like, "I plead the fifth," and they kept going through the questions, he's like, "I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth."
And he had a lawyer present an actual argument, and they just shot it down. It was an actual lawyer with an actual intelligent argument with science and clear facts that all they had to do was say, yeah, that makes some sense. And they just trashed it.
Shout out to Lucas Middlebrook, who was my first interview ever, actually, who was Nick Diaz's lawyer. Obviously works with Leslie Smith and Project Spearhead in some capacity. Shout out to him, man. Just a great guy.
Shout out to Leslie Smith, too.
Of course.
One of the nicest people I've met in MMA.
One of the great... people are going to talk about her in 20 years.
Big time. She's doing pioneering things right now.
Rob, I heard you mention my name. What do you want to talk about? Ryan Garcia tooling up this kid.
I want to give you a quick update on the Ryan Garcia fight. The dudes had a point deducted for a low blow, which was savagely low, and then there was an even lower one that could have popped Ryan Garcia's knee. And the guy is also, he's one moonwalk away from the entire repertoire of dances that you can do in a boxing ring.
I love it.
And he's crouching down. He's doing the drunk, like the
Manuel Augustus status.
This I want him to win.
Yeah, leaning into that hard is not a good look.
I want him to win. Let's go, Braulio. Just because you have a name, Braulio.
He's dragging Ryan Garcia down with him at the moment. When oh my God, this is please just keep an eye on it.
Oh, I will.
No, he's gonna pull guard.
Whenever you have a guy that's named Braulio fighting, you have to pay attention.
This guy is trying to fight like Pernell Whitaker, but it's not Pernell Whitaker.
Like, he's Braulio with an afro. That is must-see television.
This dude actually, he looks like a character from a video game. Like he looks like what was one of those like EA Sports,
like one of the Fight Night champions or Fight Night round 2, one of the created characters. When you go through your career mode,
yeah,
and
one of the just random roster guys.
Yes,
that's him
with the tattoos as well.
You've unlocked the really snazzy shorts, but you haven't got the attributes built up yet.
No, he's like a 65 on everything.
But he's also being played like track and field. Someone is bashing the buttons big time.
Credit to him though; he's been taking some shots.
He has, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
But it's always a problem when you say credit to somebody for taking so many shots.
Hey,
that is always problematic.
Durability is a factor, even when you suck.
There's like you can say, "Oh, dude's got a chin." But when you say credit to him, he's taking a lot of shots.
Yeah. So, man, the heart on that guy. When you say that, it's a wrap, son.
He's losing every round and getting beat up. Yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah, he's in there getting tooled.
I wonder what the total attendance is going to be there. It should be a lot. It is Canelo.
There's about 13 people there right now, though.
There's more.
It's filled out a bit more now. And maybe they've heard this dude's out there doing his thing.
Hey, I mean, Ryan Garcia does have that. He has the pull, man. I'm like boxing, like women love him, and whenever that happens, like Oscar De La Hoya, like you instantly become a bigger figure. Like 50% of the population is now unlocked for you.
Right.
For other fighters, they can't access 50% of the population.
Yeah, with the smooth skin and the dimples, yeah, ladies love him.
He's Daniel LaRusso, right? He's
yeah, definitely.
He does.
Also,
Daniel LaRusso.
No obvious judgment, but the LGBT community loves him as well.
Oh yeah,
a big. Watch, when you're bored one day, go on his Twitter and just start reading his replies.
Oh, the dude's checking for him?
Oh, my God, man. The thirst.
Hey, they got money, too.
The kid's 19, man. Give him a break, okay?
Man.
Don't forget, million Instagram followers.
Oh, my God. I don't know how. all because he hit some pad work really fast.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the dude that's been on Instagram with the really... Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I've seen him.
The little pop-up one. In the garage?
Yeah, because he's from this area too, right?
What was that?
He's from this area, right?
Yes. I don't know exactly where he's from, but I know he's from Southern California, I believe. Trained by his dad before this camp, and that's sort of been the big question mark. Like Sage Northcutt. I think it's Sage Northcutt in a way.
Yeah, I mean, anytime
he is a Sage Northcutt of boxing. He's 100% Sage Northcutt.
Yeah, one of my friends has done some training with him. I think they've done some Instagram videos together.
What was that, Rob?
Ryan Garcia's just got the victory. He knocked the guy out.
Don't spoil it, okay? God damn it.
I mean, it's not like we were in doubt about that.
That is true. That is true. It's the 5th round.
Conversation.
Well, that's a wrap, son.
Oh.
Well, he ate it.
And he's looking at
he's looking at the lights like,
do I need to get up?
He's like, I think I already earned my money. I'm good, bro.
I think people are saying, credit to me. I took a lot of shots. I can stay down now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for this fight. Dan Hooker versus Edson Barboza.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes,
please.
I was so conflicted on picking this. I picked Edson Barboza, by the way, and I felt horrible for doing it.
I reluctantly picked Dan Hooker. You know what? My only concern is what is Barboza going to look like after getting just worked for 8 rounds against Khabib Nurmagomedov and Kevin Lee. Like, what is he going to look like? Because those were savage beatings that he took.
But then I always go back, man. Jason Knight beat Dan Hooker. Jason Knight.
Hick Diaz.
And not a good Diaz. Like, it's one of those things where, like, was it the weight cut? Was the weight cut that much of a drain on him that he just wasn't the same fighter?
He's a big guy.
He is.
He's a big guy.
He's what, 6 feet? Isn't he 6 feet? He's a tall guy.
Yeah, he's a tall dude. So, like, but you've seen what he's done to other lower tier lightweights. I mean, he annihilated Gilbert Burns.
Annihilated Jim Miller.
Yeah, I mean, he's done some really, really mean things to some guys who otherwise are pretty good in that division. This is a big step up in competition, but I think it's one that he earned. It'd be one thing if he was squeaking by with decisions against some of these people, but he has destroyed them, thoroughly beat them down.
But then again, like, we don't think Edson Barboza does that to Gilbert Burns and Jim Miller.
Oh, of course he does.
Like, it's one of those things where it's...
So they're evenly matched in that respect.
Okay, I love MMA math. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun. Damn, Ryan Garcia getting a big win on the Canelo undercard. Great for him. He needs this in his career.
He was riding the ropes and holding his gloves together like he won the world title. It was a bit, this whole fight's been great.
I mean, he must be on a high right now with the new camp. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, that he must, like, things should start clicking for this kid. Like, he is smart enough, he is talented enough, he is such an athlete that now that he's in a world-class, world champion level gym, Eddie Reynoso is one of the most underrated trainers in the game, period. And being alongside Canelo Alvarez 24/7, iron sharpens iron. This kid has to get better. If he doesn't, that's a big indictment on what he is.
It would be, if he didn't learn from being in a camp like that around a guy like Canelo,
He'll never.
You're going to question what he's really made of. But I think as well, DAZN are going to throw a lot of marketing at this guy as well.
Of course. I mean, not only is DAZN trying to target a younger demographic, Ryan Garcia is made for that demographic. Like, it's a match made in heaven. You have a streaming app trying to be, the new age streaming app, and you have a 20-year-old boxer that can't drink yet, that is undefeated, has a phenomenal amateur career, and is a legit boxing star at, 16-0? That's rare.
Yeah, so this is a future guy that's going to be featured.
If he keeps winning, he will... I'm not going to go as far as say as, like, he could be pay-per-view star, but, yeah, I mean, the guy has a following. Well, a natural following. That's hard to get.
You keep him on DAZN, he doesn't need to be a pay-per-view star.
True, of course.
He can be a streaming star.
Using more of that barometer. Like,
right.
I think him and Jaime Munguia, who's a junior middleweight champion from Mexico that you don't know, I would assume, Anthony. Undefeated guy, really talented. Should look him up. Those two guys are...
I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was.
I was
I'm
right,
just being
right?
difficult.
I know casuals and what names they know and what names they don't. Jaime Munguia, a guy that doesn't speak English.
I can't even pronounce that right.
Yeah. No. That's not a guy on your list, on your barometer, man. He's on your
I won't be
radar.
writing a post-fight column about him today.
But Ryan Garcia and Jaime Munguia are being built up as the next Canelo Alvarez for Golden Boy. Jaime Munguia more is that true Mexican, sort of blue-collar-like star, undefeated, huge knockout ratio. Ryan Garcia is that Mexican-American potential star. Golden Boy is definitely angling for these two guys to be the pinnacles of their company post-Canelo. And it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's like you say, had it still been pay-per-view like HBO or whatever, I think he was being groomed to follow up from Canelo and
absolutely
take that mantle. So Golden Boy looking like they've got that sort of generational superstar to follow on, I think. But I think he's got a lot of things to iron out and improve on. But like you said, he's in the right camp. If he can't do it there, he's not really going to do it anywhere, I don't think. So
agreed. And on top of that, when you compare him to other prospects, which of course Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lil B-Hop, Joshua Greer, Josh Kelly over in the UK, Ryan Garcia is still the biggest name of them all. By far.
Yeah, like you say, the following. He's got the girls and some of the guys and whatever, just checking it. You know, it's already done. The marketing's almost already done. If you know
Plus,
what I mean.
he does a decent job of talking shit. You know, he does a decent job of having that bravado, having that charisma. You know, I don't have the audio up, but I see him doing this post-fight interview. I'm assuming it's charismatic. It looks like it's a charismatic post-fight interview, you know?
Yeah, I didn't have the volume up, but it looks at the end, if my lip reading's any good.
Yeah.
Like Viva Mexico and all that, you know. And
he says all the right things. He's a PR's wet dream.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
like I say, he's got that, you know, what you want if you're going to, you know, make a checklist of stardom. He's got the, you know, sort of social media, the marketing, the whatever, all that's already checked. Now it's about knuckling down in the gym and, you know, coming good on the promise.
Since there's no fighting on right now, and I see a Aquaman trailer, and I know Mr. Anthony Walker is the biggest nerd of comic books. Your thoughts on the Aquaman movie coming up? I mean, it comes out this weekend, right, or something like that?
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. It looks good. I think Jason Momoa makes a good Aquaman as long as they keep the bro talk to a minimum. I don't want to hear them say dude. And you know,
he's going to say that.
Not all the time. Like, yeah, you have your moments, but let's not make him surfer bro. You know, as a comic book hero. Let's not go so far on that. I'm good on that end, but I think the movie should be good.
The tone looks right. That's a big thing with me with DC movies right now.
That concerns me about it though is where the DC extended universe isn't even a thing because they got Shazam coming up. Wonder Woman 84 is coming up next year as well. So it's just really confusing. What are they doing? Because
and then you have
apparently they kicked Henry Cavill out.
Yeah, they did. They did.
And Ben Affleck is probably. I was like, what are you guys?
And then on
doing?
top of that, they renamed their universe. I forget what the exact name of it is, but there's like, it was originally going to be called like DC Dark, or then like there's I forget the name.
Yeah,
changes,
they were going to do like a Justice League Dark.
Yeah, so like the Joker movie, the new Batman movie that's coming out, those are all going to be separate, like standalone movies.
I mean, honestly, they just need some direction. I don't think they really know what they're doing. Because they'll announce like 30 movies at a time, and none of them get developed in any way, shape, or form. We still don't have Flashpoint. Like
that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's just not.
And Ezra Miller was a great Flash. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Did you see the premiere that they did the Haka?
I saw that.
That was dope.
Yeah, that was dope. Haka is just dope in general, man.
Period.
You know, I would love to just see a Haka every time I wake up, man, and get me motivated to go to work and do my thing. Like, just a Haka is good. We need to just Haka everywhere.
I like how it's now a verb. Like,
yeah, it's just Haka.
We need a Haka places, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that's the dopest thing ever, man. Shout out to everybody that can Haka.
We back in high school, we had a Samoan guy on our football team, and he always like wanted to do the Haka, and it was like, man, you're the only Samoan guy on the team. Like, it just looked weird. Like
see, it's one of those things you can't do by yourself.
No,
you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah,
man.
imagine a solo Haka dance. That'd be lame as fuck.
Yeah, you just one guy. It probably look like, what the hell is this guy doing? But you got to have at least one person to back you up. I'm really disappointed in your team.
You need a hype man.
I'm disappointed in your team, man, because it should have been somebody on it. Y'all should have been like, hey, we can't let him be out here alone doing this. Let's rock with him, man.
Well, he never actually did it by himself.
Okay, good.
Okay,
so people
but no, we never did it.
Oh, y'all just so y'all shamed him out of doing it.
Yes, of course.
Man, y'all are trash for that. Y'all are so trash.
You've got someone who can teach you the Haka, Matt, and none of you wanted to do it.
Yo, I went to a weird high school, man. Like, I'm just gonna say that. Like, it was a private school. It was weird. There was like 2 black people on the whole team. And
your team had to been trash.
Oh, it was trash, man.
Had to been garbage.
Yo, I'm telling you, we fought some legit high schools, or played some legit high schools, and it was bad. Like, I remember we played Santa Maria High School way up north, right? And they're a big high school in California. They're always in like I forget what it's called, the CIF, right? I think that's what it's called. Like, they're the high school playoff system, whatever, at conference. They're always high up. We drove up 6 hours to go play them. We lost 70-7. Okay.
Did they score? Like,
I'm not done. I'm not done. Hold up. The smallest person on that team was bigger than our biggest person on our team.
Oh, that is a bad day at the office.
Okay. little old me, right? I was a lineman, a defensive end, right? That's how bad, yo, and these corn-fed farm boys, right, out in the sticks in Central Valley,
where there's nothing to do.
Oh my God, man! I lasted 2 plays and I busted my shoulder. Like a guy came in and literally just pressed me, right?
Man, that busted shoulder saved your life.
Oh, it did. Oh, thank God every day for that, man. I would have died in that game.
Did you leave your asthma respirator inhaler?
Yo, I had asthma. Don't joke about that.
Are you prejudiced against people with asthma?
Yeah, man. Damn. What if your kid had asthma? You wouldn't say that shit.
Stay woke.
Stay woke.
No, I just got images of
Matt with the broken shoulder with the asthma inhaler, saying, "Please don't put me out there."
Like water boy kind of thing going on.
Definitely. I was the water boy for the rest of the season. That's for sure.
Oh, Edson Barboza got the fade now. That's what's up.
He's not bald.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
okay.
got the
Got a little 5 o'clock shadow going. It looks like.
Yeah.
But he looks so much smaller. God,
He does.
Dan
he looks
Hooker's
a lot
giant.
Man, and that guy was fighting at 45. Come on now.
Yeah, that weight cut must have been just ginormous. That's like a Jared Hurd for boxing trying to drop down to welterweight. Like it just would look sickly.
Yeah, it just wasn't healthy, man. There's definitely a diminishing returns for dropping weight.
Yes, you get to a point where you cut too much.
Yeah, it's that fair balance of like how much are you sacrificing of your health to not have a size disadvantage.
One thing I like about Dan Hooker right now, he's really aggressive with that roundhouse kick up top, really forcing Edson Barboza on the defensive, not letting Barboza get his offensive going, not letting him be creative. I like that right now.
And I find it interesting. Barboza is really attacking that back leg more than anything, and that's a trickier thing to pull off. I wonder if he's
good check there by Edson.
Yeah,
Rob, you said something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is it like David Lemieux trying to make 160?
Worse. This would be like David Lemieux trying to make 154, man.
Oh, forget it.
Like
Cool.
Dan Hooker's literally a giant. He might be 6'1", like 6'2", almost, fighting at 155 pounds right now. And he was fighting.
Really just a joke at David
I
Lemieux.
know. He's eating poutine too much. It's okay. That Canadian bastard ruined the card. Ooh,
Yeah,
good right hand to the body.
Nice. You know, I wonder too what Barboza's hands are going to be looking like with American Top Team. He improved a whole lot under Mark Henry in New Jersey, and Mark Henry is a mastermind in getting guys their boxing for MMA in order. So I wonder if his hands are going to suffer at all, because that's always been his weak point. As dynamic of a striker as he is, if you stayed inside of his kicking range and were able to launch some punches, that's where he faltered. I mean, that's how Cerrone was able to catch him
with
in
a
that
jab.
submission. Yeah, dropped him with a jab.
Edson Barboza, though, he's a little bit too far out, in my opinion. I think he's trying to wait for Hooker to come in and counter him. That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Every time Hooker, throws that left hand, I see Barboza looking for his right hand counter, trying to slip off that center line. I don't know if that's the smart game plan to have. He's not being first. He's losing this round, in my opinion, slightly. Way to go, UFC on Fox, cutting away to an empty cage.
Well, he's chopping that lead leg now. Oh, yeah, that cage is all about the action there.
the angle from up top.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Well, I'm just going to settle into an expected 12 rounds of Saddam Ali versus Mauricio Herrera.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah, check in on me from time to time. Just make sure I'm here.
Yeah, you're going to be snoring. Guaranteed.
You'll hear me.
Neither guy looking for a jab. Both guys looking for that strong arm straight,
Yeah, I think they both really want to hurt each other more than anything. Whoa, that
Ooh,
was
good
a
leg kick
nice
there.
combination right there.
Finish it with a leg kick. You need to keep doing that, Barboza, because he's being outkicked right now, in a way. In my opinion. Maybe not outkicked, because neither one's really landing.
I mean, they're kind of even right now. That was a nice slick shot right there. And the way
straight.
he got off the way with that.
Dan Hooker's a little bit more in the range of Barboza right now in these last 30 seconds.
Barboza's really sitting on his punches a lot more right now, too. That's just why he's not kicking as much.
Yeah, he's not looking to back up as much. He's looking to slip off.
Whoa,
Oh, right hand
nice
hook.
right hand.
Daniel Hooker right there.
Oh, nice. With the head kick. Let's see if he moves in. He's staying patient, though. I like that. He's not trying to just swarm in.
Mm-hmm.
He's staying back. You see how he's staying exactly in that range?
Mm-hmm.
He backs up just a little bit and then comes in like a half step.
Hooker's being a little bit too aggressive, in my opinion.
I think that's more desperation, man. He just got rocked.
Doesn't want to lose the round.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then also to kind of reestablish the respect. Oh, nice knees.
Hooker's guard got sloppy right there on the inside.
Oh, man.
Being caught with hooks.
Yeah, Hooker's eating. He's eating some shots right here. Whoa, man.
He Terry had him. Trying to Terry at him that.
Whoa, he telegraphed that one crazy, though.
Good left hand.
See what he does here. Oh, good. I like how he's going for that inside leg.
Landed again.
When you've got that orthodox against the southpaw and you throw
that inside leg kick, man.
Yeah, that inside leg kick, that angle is just so much tougher.
But if you land it consistently, it does so much more damage, in my opinion.
Big time, because that back leg it's got more power, and you're hitting that inside spot, man. It takes a little longer to get there, but if you can land that with consistency, and the way Barboza's doing it, to where every time Hooker steps, he steps right into a kick. Yeah, his leg is not going to be long.
And Barboza, I think, has the most finishes due to leg kicks, right, in UFC history.
I believe so. If not him, then Pat Barry. Pat Barry's got like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And Barboza's got 2 or 3.
Pat Barry, man. What a weird legacy that guy probably has.
Big time. Big time, man. You talking about a guy who, with just this millimeters of things being different, his career would have turned out completely differently.
That Czech Congo fight, man.
Oh my goodness, that was nuts. And also, I was at the one when he fought Stefan Struve, which was the biggest height disparity in heavyweight history. And and he got caught in that weird triangle choke and slammed him, but it just sunk the choke in deeper. And then you think about the Crow Cop loss, drop Crow Cop like 2 or 3 times, and then still get submitted by Crow Cop.
He was the Derek Lewis before Derek Lewis. In a way. Derek Lewis has been far more successful in his wins and losses.
Hooker's leg is done, son. You see that walk?
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, now he's trying to close that distance.
Ooh, good step in knee, though, by Dan Hooker, but he's still getting caught with kicks, caught with knees.
He's getting eaten up every time he steps in.
Barboza's the sharper technical striker. You can tell.
Big time.
Dan Hooker's creative enough to make it competitive, but I think he's just outmatched from a technical perspective.
And he's big enough to where, it's going to take more shots to...
But right now, him being the aggressor, almost like Tony Ferguson right now, not giving Barboza that space.
Popped up?
Oh, goodbye shot there by Hooker. He needs to do this a little bit more. Not necessarily be in the clinch, but be on the inside, throwing a lot of combinations.
You've got to stay in the range where his kicks aren't going to be as effective. You just got to stay in that range.
But not really get tied up in the clinch. That's the trick.
Right.
Because Hooker, I think he's either on that mid-range or he gets sucked into the clinch by Barboza and eats knees like that.
Well, I think because he's not coming in with effective enough punches. And that's where I'm whoa. Nice one. If you can come in with effective enough punches, that will discourage someone from reaching out for that clinch because they're going to be too busy defending what's coming at them.
Hooker definitely fighting like a sloppy, hurt guy, but still slightly effective. Ooh,
you see the bruising on that leg?
Oh,
man,
my God.
That leg is ate up. Leg look like taco meat.
Damn.
Whoa, Barboza with the aggressive guard game? Was he going for an omoplata there? Never mind.
Hooker doing a good job of staying on top, trying to be heavy.
Yeah.
Not really looking for ground and pound. I think just looking to sort of regain some energy.
Yeah, he's got to trying to stall
clear his head a little bit.
And then also, if you could just lean your weight on him, put your hand over his face, just smother him a bit. Make sure you can suck that energy out, because one thing about Edson Barboza's style, it's all about athleticism and dynamic ability. And if you can sap that gas tank, man, it's going to take a lot of steam off everything. At the very least, it'll put his kicks just a split second slower, and that might give you enough time to get out the way. It might give you enough time to catch a counter or catch the kick itself. So you don't want Edson Barboza being fresh at all.
Barboza landing some really good body punches. I mean, that left hook to the body has been landing all night.
Oh, he's definitely been working on his hands at Top Team. And it actually seems his boxing ability looks a lot different than it did under Mark Henry.
Oh,
whoa,
right overhand.
That right overhand.
Hooker got a chin. Damn. I'm surprised he took that. But he's definitely hurt.
Those
He's hurt.
3 left hooks. Oh, he's
But
a
still
zombie
coming
right
forward,
now.
man.
See this at this point, somebody needs to be throwing the towel in to protect this guy, because he is taking a beating right now. His face doesn't look like it. He doesn't have blood pouring out his face or nothing like that. But the shots,
these are hard shots.
Yeah, that's. I mean, he's teeing off on him at this point.
You know, if Hooker was like going backwards and like visibly hurt, I think ref might have stopped it by now. But he keeps going forward, man. He's got like that Chris Leben zombie mode right now.
And you see how he just threw him down like that? Like this is, he's still walking real gingerly on that leg,
scurrying up.
His footwork has disappeared. His footwork is gone now.
Those punches are lazy.
Yeah, the punches are really labored. They're slow.
This is bad.
That was slick trying to go for that elbow right there, but it didn't land. This is. I tell you one thing: if he makes it out of this round, that corner needs to be. They need to have some serious thoughts about putting this one to bed. There are not enough corner stoppages in MMA. Jesus Christ!
Left
man.
uppercut, left hook combination by Edson Barboza.
Oh, the double body shots, and look like something like that. Oh my God, the body kick too, man.
This is bad.
Yeah, the step away jab.
Israel Adesanya's BFF is getting beat up real bad right now.
Oh man, okay. The corner needs to be. They need to put it into this. This is no longer.
God! Right hand hurt him again. Another right hand.
Where is the corner? Come on now.
Corner stoppages are a myth in MMA, man.
Hey, what a
so
joke,
sad.
man. This corner needs to just shoot themselves for this.
Yeah, Hooker looks like a defeated fighter. He looks like he's not out on his feet, but he looks like he's not really all there right now. He's fighting on instinct.
Yeah, Barboza just had his way with him that round.
Wow, and Hooker going straight, just sitting down on the floor. Not even waiting for the stool.
Not even for the stool, yeah.
Yeah, you got to stop it, guys.
And you know what? Imagine him trying to get up now with that bad leg. Yeah, the doctor's over there. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if we see a third round. I don't think he wants to be there, and I don't blame him.
Fighter IQ, a.k.a. Ron the Mastermind in the chat, saying Ortega 2.0.
Hey.
Definitely similar aspect, yeah.
That's a good observation right there.
Especially back-to-back weekends, it's easy to make, the correlation or indirect correlation between the two and how they look. They got to stop this. It doesn't look like they're stopping it just yet, though, which is really concerning.
No, you know what? And I shouldn't say that Dan Hooker doesn't want to be there anymore. He does, but I think his body is just saying hell no. Like when Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald fought, and after a war like that, and Rory gets dropped by just the most mundane looking jab, it's like and his body just said no.
Yeah, your body does quit after a certain amount of punishment. It just does.
No matter how much your mind wants to be there and how much desire you have, the body has limits.
His leg is black and blue on the inside. God damn.
And Edson doesn't even want to hit him no more, man. He doesn't even want to hit him anymore. This corner needs to be ashamed of their damn selves for letting this go on like that. What a travesty, man.
Barboza's just better in every level. And Hooker's not talented enough to really catch Barboza when he gets wild himself. Barboza has a good lateral movement, so he's able to get back to the center of the cage.
Man, his body punches are so on point right now.
Well, that's partially why Hooker is so sapped of energy, is that body work. Hooker going for a lazy single leg. Doesn't really get it, trying to chain wrestle into a double leg, but has him press up against the cage. Barboza should be able to slip this out and maybe connect with the elbow or knee on the way out.
Yeah, I don't see him being stuck against his cage too much longer. And then even still, he doesn't. I know Barboza's going to want to go for some spectacular finish. That's just the nature of him as a man. But at this point, he really doesn't need to do anything. That was a 10-8 round that we just saw.
Yes.
He definitely won the first round as well. Dan Hooker needs a finish right now. If he can just not, if Barboza can just not get finished, which I think is Jesus Christ. That's it. That's got to be
spinning back into the body.
Jesus Christ.
Hurts Dan Hooker.
Oh my God,
he is hurt bad.
Are you serious? 3 of them?
Barboza just spamming leg kicks like a video game right now to the body.
Oh my God!
How does Hooker not go down?
How is he not going? This dude is too tough for his own good. Wow! This is disgusting that his corner is letting this happen. And I'm tired. Oh my God! Another one?
How's Hooker still up, man?
And another, geez, like he is tearing that body up. I'm tired of writing a post-fight column trashing someone's corner or the officials for not stopping the fight. I'm tired of doing it.
Roundhouse kick
but
connected.
This is probably what I'm going to have to do again.
Barboza looks like oh gosh.
We can, you know.
Barboza's looking tired just from all the punishment he's
Man,
dealing out.
why is this still going on? Please explain to me, why is this still going on?
It's not even halfway.
Hooker is not even.
Yet.
He's taken 3 spinning back kicks to the liver.
Oh, there
and
goes.
That's it.
Finally, finally. God
oh
damn.
my God! Really? Did we need to have all that happen?
Left hook to the body finally finishes it for Dan Hooker.
Did we really need all that to happen? His corner needs to jump off a fucking bridge for that. That is disgusting. That's trash, man. That's so trash.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gone out in that last round.
He should not have been there in that last round. It was very clear. And I get the fact, I mean, I get the idea that fighters want to fight and they're valiant guys. They're brave. They're warriors.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think the way me and you think. They don't think like us.
No.
They don't think like the average person walking the street. They have something else in them.
I'm
but they
shocked
need to
the
be
doctor
protected
didn't stop
from themselves.
it. I'm shocked the doctor didn't stop that. I mean, he just did not look like he was ready to go out there again.
Dan Hooker's got the poker face, man. That's how the doctor was just fooled by Dan Hooker right there. But that's why his corner needs to be doing something. You cannot expect the corner the doctor or the ref to know the fighter like the corner.
Of course.
Like they can tell. Hey, you think that hasn't happened in training? That somebody hurt him and he had the poker face, and he pushed through and got hurt again. Like,
damn, the replays of those spinning back kicks.
And he hit him with 3 of those. Man, one of those would change your life, and he got hit with 3 of them.
He's definitely gonna be pissing blood tonight.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Rob, how's the Saddam Ali Marisa Herrera fight going?
Herrera looks like Father Time caught up with him on the ring walk. If Saddam Ali can't style on him, it's going to be a very long fight to watch. Herrera just looks slow,
overweight.
Like Ali sort of on the back foot, up on his toes and choosing to dart in and out when he can. But Herrera just looks trash. But
both guys kind of look overweight, in my opinion. Even Saddam.
Yeah, on the scale. They showed him on the scale. You expect if you're going to see the guys before they rehydrate, you're going to see the body looking all ripped. But both guys looked a little bit, they were carrying a little bit of extra timber that they perhaps didn't need to. But
and just surprising because Saddam Ali is going back down to 147 in this fight. You think he would look better than what he did at 154, but he looks arguably the same in terms of body physique. That's a little bit of a concern there when we've been questioning how much does Saddam Ali have left in the tank, as well as Marisa Herrera.
Yeah, that Munguia beating was pretty brutal. But yeah, if this goes 12, oh my God, I'm going to jump off the bridge with that cornerman that should have stopped the fight you're watching.
Yeah, man, that
and still mad. I can tell.
I'm still really pissed off about that.
Sorry, I brought it up.
Yeah. Well, you know how to draw the reactions, Rob. That's what's up.
Oh yeah.
This is an experienced broadcaster right here. You just gotta give him the drama for the people, man. I feel it. I like it. Shout out to Rob from the UK.
Man, but that was a bad cornering job. Like when you see a fighter fall to the ground in between rounds before the stool in the corner, even in the cage,
it's done.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, he just fell down.
He didn't wait for the stool to get there. He just sat it down.
He slumped down. He looked done, and they sent him back out there.
I'm as upset as Anthony is right now.
It would be if, like, let's say Marisa Herrera in between this round just slumped to the ground in between his corner before the stool got there. Like, you would be like, okay, it's done. Like, there's no need to keep going about this.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, it's...
My only thing with these fights ending early is I really hope they don't pull an HBO and have, like, an hour and a half of just nothing in between fights.
Oh, Fox and DAZN are very good at that. Man, I've seen so much filler.
DAZN has been some bad filler lately. I'll be honest.
Bellator
It's
last
bad.
night, man. The main event started at like 10 o'clock.
But see, the problem with Bellator is that
they're
tied.
simulcast with-
They're tied obviously to an actual linear TV program, right? So it can't really have a streaming sort of schedule and time.
But the thing is, I don't remember Bellator on Paramount or Spike before DAZN being that poorly paced.
No, it was bad. It was
I don't remember
always
being
bad.
that bad.
The difference is that you didn't see the full card. Remember, they had half the
That's
card
true.
obviously on Bellator.com, right?
Right.
Now it's all one stream from beginning to end, basically, right? You can watch all 8 hours of the event on one video with DAZN nowadays. That's different than what it was before. I think that's the difference, is that it's back in the day, none of us really watched the prelims for Bellator. Let's be honest.
Oh,
like,
no.
No. We waited for the telecast to start, and that was 4 or 5 fights, and that was it. Now we're watching the full 12-card broadcast of Bellator. And 12 fights for the UFC is a lot, where we get fights that should not belong in the UFC, let alone a Bellator full card. You're going to find a lot of crap on the undercard. You just are.
Yeah, I mean, their undercards are normally local guys. I mean, who will bring butts in seats. You know, I understand the business decisions.
But you're going to find a lot of 4-1 guys.
Yeah, but there's a reason why it's not televised on a national or international platform. You know, obviously with DAZN, if you subscribe to DAZN, you're clearly a combat sports fan. You clearly want that sort of content. So yes, you would be into, you know, some guy who's got a 3-2 record from West Bumblefuck somewhere. Like you'd be interested in that. So I get it. But as far as putting that on Paramount or putting that on FS1 or something like this, it's not going to work.
No, and I've been of the mindset that we
be good for a Golden Boy MMA pay-per-view, though.
Oh, God damn it. No, let's never talk about that. Rob, you want to say something?
Yeah. Just educate me a little bit on the Bellator thing. Is it kind of, they try to, like, I don't know, brand it almost like WWE, because there's like the ramp, there's like the screen behind, they kind of walk down.
It takes more of a nod from Japanese MMA, where they're more about the theatrics, they're more about the fighter entrances and fireworks. So the UFC had that for a little bit, and then they kind of left it for like a stripped down, more like standard boxing walkout.
Okay, because it's just I saw because there was a Bellator card yesterday, right? Was it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I saw 50 Cent coming down the ramp with the microphone, and
I missed that part. All right.
I didn't watch the card yesterday. I watched the main event. And that's about
watched starting at the AJ McKee fight. I watched that.
I saw highlights of that.
Yeah,
he's always good.
Yeah, he's.
They need to stop feeding him cans.
Yeah, it's time for him to fight guys who are
legit
tailor made for him to beat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's good, really good.
And Rob, to your point about like the WWE effect in a way, everything in the U.S. in terms of like sports entertainment comes from like Japanese entertainment or UK entertainment, right? We get a lot of our influence from those two markets. For combat sports specifically, it comes from Japanese MMA or Japanese pro wrestling, I should say, not MMA. Because Japanese, like New Japan Pro Wrestling, or back in the day, it was, just Japanese pro wrestling, way back in the day, 30, 40 years ago. That was theatrical. That was always...
It was all about the show.
Yeah, it always was.
And they still kind of, in Japanese MMA, they still kind of have that tradition. Hence, you have Floyd Mayweather fighting Tenshin Nasukawa.
Yeah.
Or fighting, I should put in air quotes. What a...
And for example...
why did I even bring that up? It's just going to make me angry.
Anthony Wusa.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm too excitable, man. I need another beer.
Give me one too, please.
It just reminded me, like I say, like it was like as if like Vince McMahon was coming down when.
Yes. Well, Vince McMahon got that from other people. Like that's always.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really good. Like go back if you can. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. Like the Ali Inoki fight, which was really the start of like shoot wrestling, and shoot wrestling was a hybrid of what we know as modern day MMA and pro wrestling. It was these quasi legit fights between pro wrestlers and martial artists in like the 80s, right? That's when that really started in the late 70s. And that evolved into, Shudo back in the day in Japan. Obviously, Pride evolved from that in the 90s. But what's his name? Art Davie, right? Art Davie.
Yeah.
And Hickson Gracie, the founders of the UFC, they took a lot of their ideas from Japanese pro wrestling and shoot wrestling. That's where the idea of all these different martial artists fighting each other and it being legit fights. That's where ramps were thought of. That's where, fireworks were, used. A lot of that comes from that Japanese pro wrestling, shoot wrestling culture, which just doesn't isn't known really in the U.S., let alone the U.K. I mean, I bet this is probably maybe the first time you've even heard of the term shoot wrestling.
Yeah.
But look it up. Like it's some gnarly shit from back in the 80s, man. That was a weird time for combat sports.
Big time.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
strange.
just again, answer me, just sort of educate me a little bit on this MMA side of things. But obviously, like UFC is like the big major brand or product or whatever. But is Bellator like hugely followed as well? Is it?
Bellator is probably number 2, maybe
But
one championship.
But see, here's the
maybe
thing: is
2
that
worldwide.
the 1-2 argument has changed drastically, right? Like back in, let's say, the late 90s, early 2000s, you had Pride FC in Japan and the UFC in the US.
And Pride was definitely
number 1.
The US.
UFC was number 2 at that point. And then eventually, due to nefarious business moves by Pride and the UFC being finally regulated in the US,
And
finally,
the
Yakuza, legalities and all that, the UFC was able to buy out Pride. And that's when the UFC became number 1 worldwide.
Right, okay.
After that, you had Strikeforce, which was a Showtime property. Nick Diaz was there. Luke Rockhold, maybe some names that you may have heard of. Alistair Overeem was over there. Fedor Emelianenko was over there. That was a clear number 2 to the UFC. But that was a legit number 2, in my opinion. Like, they had great cards.
Just look at how
it was looked at differently than Bellator.
When the UFC bought out Strikeforce, when they absorbed those fighters, the quality of the UFC instantly rose.
And at that weird time, the UFC had owned the WEC, which was the lower weight divisions. So that was 145 pounds, 135 pounds. That's where Jose Aldo came from. That's where TJ Dillashaw, Demetrius Johnson. Some of these guys came from. But that was owned by the UFC.
Dillashaw didn't come from.
You're right. He was tough.
Yeah.
But the lower weight divisions overall came from there. Also, around that time, Bellator started, to be honest. And it started on ESPN Deportes, I want to say. I think it was predominantly a Latin promotion.
Yeah, which is why Eddie Alvarez was their big sign.
Yes.
Who was one of the few guys that made himself a star in MMA outside of the UFC, fighting a lot in Japan, typically. Like, he fought in Dream and Pride.
Fought everywhere.
He fought almost every promotion.
And Bellator at that time was number 3, number 4, somewhere around that sort of range. And they only did tournaments. It was like the World Boxing Super Series, for example, Rob. That's all they did was tournaments.
You might have heard of their the founder of the company, Bjorn Rebney. I know he had some ties to Sugar Ray Leonard, probably
way
about
back in the day.
25, 30 years ago, something like that.
But Bjorn Rebney got pushed out. Scott Coker, the former president of Strikeforce, obviously left Strikeforce, or pseudo got fired when Strikeforce got bought out by the UFC. Then became president of Bellator, and since then, it's really only been the UFC and Bellator in a very distant second. And that's sort of the distinction I want to make. Strikeforce, that they were right behind the UFC for a period of time. Back when Pride UFC era, Pride and the UFC were neck and neck for years. Now it's a wide margin. It's number 1 is the UFC, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all blank. Right, and then number 11 is Bellator.
It all boils down to talent distribution. So at the time when Pride was ahead or equal to the UFC, they clearly had the better heavyweight roster.
That was huge at the
They
moment.
had one person who was arguably the best lightweight alive, and
Vanderlei Silva.
Vanderlei Silva.
Like they had people.
They had guys who were legitimately some of the best in the world. So when Strikeforce came around, they too had some guys who were legitimately some of the best in the world, including the heavyweight division again. The heavyweight Grand Prix actually was the great thing that that Strikeforce did on its way out the door before being totally absorbed.
And then it just like said, supply and demand in a sense. The amount of supply got so centered around the UFC over the past 10 years, 15 years, that depth and that widening gap, so to speak, between promotional companies and MMA has become so apparent. It wasn't long ago where it was much more similar to boxing, where PBC was, let's say, clear they had the biggest stable in boxing, but PBC, Matchroom, Golden Boy, they're all relative top ranked. They're all relatively on the same level, I would say, in terms of total talent roster, in terms of total stable size. PBC has 130 fighters. Back 15, nearly 20 years ago, the UFC probably had around that number. And now it's 500 plus fighters in their roster. I think at their highest point they had over 600. In the mid 2010s.
It's astronomical, the roster they have, and it's still not enough people to fill out the cards.
No,
they have. I think this coming year they're going to have 42 events,
and that's why I always say that I'm really concerned about the oversaturation that boxing's about to face, because Top Rank owes 50 plus events for ESPN. 50 plus events. Now that could include other promoters and some shows, but that's
some cross promotions. So,
yeah,
okay.
but
right.
It's Top Rank and ESPN have to have 54 events a year. Matchroom Boxing has 32 events, I believe. Correct me on that, Rob. For the zone, 16 in the US, 16 in the UK. Let alone other fight cards in the UK that we don't get necessarily the rights for the zone. Golden Boy has 10 fight cards per year with the zone now. Who else has some major? Obviously, PBC. They have 20 plus events with Fox, and their Showtime deal, which we don't know the specifics of. So that could be 12 events a year, 20 events a year. So we're looking at 150 boxing events all across the board in the year. With again the biggest promoter with the biggest stable is PBC with only 130 fighters. That's a major concern. I don't know how we can supply that demand from networks.
Maybe their fighters need to be active.
Well, that's the thing, Rob, is that across the board, fighters are going to fight 2 or 3 times a year at the highest level. Like that's the same in MMA, same in boxing, same in kickboxing. Like fighters are going to fight 2 or 3 times a year at the
human
top.
body's going to have limits too. Like
so when we're talking about the undercard guys, they can fight maybe 5 times a year if they're lucky, right? They can fight more. But we're talking about main eventers. Top Rank needs 54 main events per that way. Do they have that on their roster? No. PBC needs 30 plus, 40 plus main events. I don't know if they have that.
I think someone like a Tank Davis, he's young enough and he's explosive enough that he's going to win some fights early doors. So he can get more than the 2 fights in a year. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but he hasn't recently. He hasn't recently though. Shout out to Mayweather Promotions.
No, yeah, maybe that's down to more his promotional side of things. But
yeah,
obviously we're going to see. Is it in January or is it February? Tank.
I forget what date. I think it's January, but I could be wrong about that.
He's got another 11 months to get out, and depending how his fights goes, if someone gets a first or second round knockout, have a quick turnaround. We've seen it with Tevin Farmer being really active. He's a world champion. That's like 3 times this year already. Had he signed sooner or sooner.
But again, if Tevin Farmer was, let's say, fighting Miguel Berchelt, was fighting, the other champion, Alberto Machado, he's not fighting 4 times in 4.5 months.
Yeah, like I say, I think result depending. I think you go in there and blast someone out, you're good to go again. Next month we saw.
But also, Tevin Farmer not really main eventing. I mean, I think one or two of those were main events. Like the Billy Dib fight in Australia was a main event because it's Billy Dib in Australia. But again, it's talking about a logistics standpoint. I'm not saying that there aren't main eventers in all these promotional companies. There are. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there aren't people that could come up and be main eventers. But I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's going to be enough to fill it out. And you're going to have cards that are really bad. And you're going to have cards that aren't as deep as they used to be. When that happens, and that's now 2 or 3 years of that happening, just from seeing it in MMA, and obviously, Anthony, you can talk about this, that oversaturation effect does affect the consumer.
But I think boxing is going to be shielded from that somewhat simply because...
Ooh, interesting. Why?
Because boxing isn't built on the same model that the UFC has been built on, where the UFC has always advertised itself as from top to bottom, you're going to be entertained, it's going to be great fights. And that's just not something that most people really expect from boxing. And that was kind of a refreshing thing when PBC first came around, that I knew some of the names leading up to the main event, so I could get excited to watch a PBC main card. But that's still not the culture of boxing. The culture, I mean, look at how, you know, I hate to bring up Golden Boy MMA again, but look how that was run. That was run off of, it was a typical boxing model. It took, you know, two guys that you've heard of,
and that's it,
and put them in, and then the fight underneath of that had a guy who's got some promise, and they gave him a warm body to beat up. You know, no disrespect to Tom Lawler, but they gave him a body to beat up on, and the rest of the card you just could have picked it from a grab bag somewhere. You could have just picked random names from a fighter database, and you guys fight.
Okay, I understand the argument. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, the MMA consumer expects, I think, more than the boxing consumer. I think that's 100% true. Just in the way they have sold themselves, the respective sports. But again, quickly, back to maybe my point, main event. I don't know if they have enough main events. So even though the card depth is maybe not an issue for us as, you know, us hardcore consumers, because we expect not, you know, in not cards that are filled with depth and filled with a bunch of amazing fights. We know that. However, when we get cards that don't have good main events, boxing fans get vocal.
Well,
they do.
Here's what's probably going to happen. Those guys that would be that one up from the main event, that might need one or two more fights before they're main eventing, they're just going to get bumped up a little early. That's probably what's going to happen. And that seems, at least in my opinion, that's a much better result than what we get on the MMA side.
You know, it's funny because I never really looked at it from the angle of like just MMA fans, like they're sold a very different product. I to be honest, just because I'm a guy that's so into both, you know, I never really looked at it that way. That how we are sold, the brand of the UFC is so predicated off of from beginning to end of the event. It should be great fights. You have the main event of the prelims. You know, it's always sold that way, right? And how oversaturation affected that so much more easily so, because whole cards get affected, and in boxing that won't be as much of an issue. I just don't know. Again, I don't know if there's those guys that, like you said, are maybe not main eventers, but the co-mains now, right, in the you know, the current paradigm. But going into 2019, they'll be pushed up to the main events. I don't know if they're going to succeed, and that's, you know, again, we're going to find out in 12, 18 months. You know, what it really looks like, what the trends are. It's just something to make note of, especially as a consumer. You know, start looking at what events have depth, what main events are good, especially with PBC going back to pay-per-view. It's, again, consumers, you guys have power. Like, you guys have power. Be aware of your power and use it, because that's all we really have in this sport is our consumer power.
I mean, I get it. You know, the main event is the draw, the one that people buy the tickets for.
But it's the one on the poster.
Yeah, and it's the, you know, the sales pitch. It's everything to make people tune in, buy a pay-per-view, buy a ticket or whatever. But, you know, over here we do like the next gen shows, and quite often on some of the bigger cards and the main events, I'm looking forward. And you know this, Matt. Like I've watched Anthony Fowler from his debut, and now he's at like 9-0. And he's on the verge of, you know, fighting for the British title and things like that. And I'm invested in his journey from like day one. So to me, I think there's like sometimes a massive snobbery around, like, you know, like, who the fuck is that guy? And, you know, the McGregor quote comes out all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, if you're not going to watch him because you don't know him, then what, are you never going to watch? You're never going to watch him until, like, you know, like Nez says over on the box, you know, I only watch him when I have to watch him. So you're missing out on like potentially like 15, 16 fights of someone's career until they work themselves up to like the main card or a co-main or a main. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's just going to be a problem that's going to be across the board in combat sports, because we are a very
quickly, and I just want to quickly interrupt you. Call lines are open 323-870-4051. We're going to start in about 5 minutes, just because that's how this software works. Kevin Lee, Al Iaquinta is up right now. Round 1 about to start, so obviously we're going to be talking about that a lot. Rob, quick thoughts on what Saddam Ali and Mauricio Herrera is before we head into the main event of UFC on Fox 31.
We're into round 8 of 10. It's not been the greatest watch. Herrera looks slow and sluggish.
Yeah, he's
been the come forward fighter, but Ali on the back foot and then jumping in he's probably winning the fight. I haven't been blown away by it enough to really score it that greatly, but to me it looks like Ali's getting the better of it. But it's not been the greatest fight. I don't think we ever expected it to be.
No, we did not. But what we do expect is this main event to be great. Kevin Lee versus Al Iaquinta 2 starting now. Cannot wait.
This is going to be good right here.
I wish Al Iaquinta was more active.
Yeah,
just fighting more often. You know, like it.
He's selling some good real estate.
I don't blame him. Gotta make that cheddar.
Yeah, man. If the UFC ain't paying him, he's going to make his money somehow. But I really, because Al has not, at least in my estimation, he hasn't really evolved his game much. No. Like, watching an Al fight several years ago is kind of the same of what you're going to see now. Kevin Lee, on the other hand, has improved leaps and bounds. So
lazy single leg takedown attempt that was.
I almost thought that was like a feint.
I think he was supposed to feint, and it was just close enough where he actually grabbed
it.
Oh,
might as well.
That's what it looked like. But speaking on evolution, that's why I picked Kevin Lee to win this fight, because his game has evolved so much since that UFC debut against Al Iaquinta.
Whoa, nice spinning elbow.
Kevin Lee in the southpaw stance definitely need to land that left hand at will. Al seems to have his range down early with the hands, though. Good for him.
But one good thing about Al Iaquinta is that his style is something that even if he doesn't evolve, he's still always really dangerous because he's so fundamentally sound.
Yeah, his striking's great. Right. His wrestling is sound.
Right. He's just dialed in. He's kind of like on every scale. He's like a 7.
Yes.
And you have to be worried about every aspect of the fight with him.
Yeah, you can't sleep on the ground with him. You can't sleep on standing up with him.
Like you almost have to be excellent in some area to get the best of him.
And Kevin Lee, to his credit, I think is just a fantastic grappler. His striking is improving leaps and bounds with every fight. And you're looking at right now in the first 2 minutes of this round, Kevin Lee has been landing some good counter shots, landing some good kicks. Al's getting his licks in too, but I think Kevin Lee is.
He's landing Kevin is landing with more consistency.
Yes. Throwing more combinations a little bit too. I think Al's looking for counters right now.
See Al's face marked up already.
Let's say he has a cut under his eye. It looks like on his cheek.
Looks like right under his eye.
Or one above it.
Or bruising on the top of his eye and then a cut at the bottom.
Definitely something. It was that check hook that Kevin Lee landed, probably. How,
Kevin Lee's kicks are just so slept on. He's really good at sneaking those in.
The funny part about Kevin Lee is that he's such a great athlete and such a great fighter, but he can get caught. He's not a weak chin, don't get me wrong, but he can get caught and hurt. So he's always exciting in a way. There's always that tense feeling man, maybe Kevin Lee's going to get caught right here, He can be hittable. His head movement isn't the greatest at times. He relies a lot on just being such a dominant presence as his defensive sort of skill, in my opinion.
Also, I wonder what his boxing training, how it affects him as an MMA fighter, because he does a lot of his boxing training with the Mayweathers, and typically that doesn't bode well for MMA fighters. If you you fight like a Mayweather in an MMA fight, you are going to get touched up quite a lot.
Speaking on someone earlier in this card, that's
why
why Bobby Green has had so much issues.
Oh, Bobby Green is training with the Mayweathers also?
No, but he has that style where he, it's so much of
tries to shoulder roll
and really the simple thing of it is that the surface area of MMA gloves is so much smaller that the shoulder can't really be used defensively like you can with boxing. Because even if you get, let's say, your shoulder up and you get clipped with a boxing glove, that boxing glove is going to hit the shoulder a little bit. The power is going to be diffused by your shoulder partially. With MMA gloves, you can slip around that so much easier. And that's why I think shoulder rolls, that sort of slipping of shots, A, is hard to do in MMA, and B, you really shouldn't do it that much. I would advise roll unders and to sort of just use a lot of lateral movement more so.
Big time.
And think Tito Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, how they sort of slip shots and then keep rolling out.
And it also takes athletically, it takes you in a weird position for MMA to shoulder roll, because then you have to plant more weight on your feet. So then you can get leg kicked a lot easier, be much easier to take someone down because you have to blade yourself so much, and you won't be able to create a solid base. So there's definitely some big disadvantages to shoulder rolling in MMA.
And plus, obviously, you open yourself up to the high kick up top.
Big time.
How many times have we seen that? A guy slipped one way. Daniel Cormier with John Jones in the rematch. That was a common one.
I'm proud to say I actually shoulder rolled a head kick not that long ago.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
I don't know how I did it.
3.
I won't ever try it
2,
again.
1.
So it must have been. So you rolled one way and the kick came like over your back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense, obviously, but usually when people are really reliant on that roll, it becomes a pattern.
Yeah, big time. What I did, I kind of popped my shoulder up a little bit, and then the shin guard
hit it and it bounced off.
Kind of grazed off,
Yep.
and I was able to tilt my head back, and it, foot and shin went just whizzed past my face. So I am alive and well.
I'm
and I
happy.
survived it.
And again, phone lines open 323-870-4051. Call in at any time, and we'll take your calls. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you are international, email me, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com to get a free international and permanent call-in link. Rob, I hear you in the background saying, Matt, what's up?
No, I kept trying to jump in, but you carried on. Just a report from Kevin Iole. He's put, so Rocky Fielding's team was upset that Canelo was stacking his wraps. The commission made him re-wrap, but ultimately he was able to fight with them stacked. Shades of Triple G Canelo too.
Abel Sanchez did so much damage with that statement. We're talking about stacking. Honestly. So much misinformation was put out there. Second round. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 minutes and 40 seconds if you want to sync up with us. Iaquinta, I'm not going to say, sort of like the Sergio Pettis fight in a way against Rob Font. Like, he looks a little bit concerned right now. Like, you can tell he's trying to figure out Kevin Lee, while Kevin Lee is just sort of flowing.
And Al is a really emotional guy, too.
Yes.
He's somebody who can get easily riled up. So I wonder how much that's going to play a factor. I mean, these two definitely have been talking a lot of trash to each other, and I don't think it's a genuine dislike. But
more that competitive, like, hey, I just want to beat you. Yeah. And plus, like, Iaquinta has been such a strong spokesperson for fighters' like rights and the fighter union, etc. That how can you really hate the guy?
Yeah.
If you're a fighter, you have to like support what Al and Leslie Smith and others have been trying to do.
And if you are an MMA fan and you are not following Iaquinta on Twitter,
it's great.
You need to go about that. You need to follow him. That guy is one of the more entertaining follows in the sport.
I think he is honestly.
He muscled that takedown.
I think he's honestly funnier than Ben Askren.
Yeah. Oh, much funnier than Ben Askren. Ben Askren is a good follow sometimes, but Al now is consistently funny.
Right now, Ben Askren's a great follow.
Oh yeah. Oh, since he signed to the UFC. Oh yeah, he's been fantastic follow.
This was great. PSK in the chat saying, anyone see the Joseph Parker KO? I have not seen that yet. I do apologize.
Whoa, he's rolling for the back.
Kevin Lee. Body triangle and everything.
He's hand fighting very well, though.
And 3 minutes, a lot of time now.
Oh, it's not. He abandoned the choke, go for the hammer fist.
Trying to get that hand free.
He's going to try to thread that hand through. You know what? I wonder if he could try a twister from here, maybe.
When was the last time we've seen a twister? Was it the Korean Zombie fight?
Korean Zombie.
No, there's somebody else that did it.
Somebody else did it? I don't remember someone else doing that. But now, I mean, that body triangle's lost a lot of strength with with the base of it being on the mat. Yeah.
Yep.
I like the rounding that elbow to try to sneak it through the guard there. Yeah,
Kevin Lee doing a great job.
Much stronger position. The only thing is now you just hope Kevin Lee isn't burning his legs out.
Yep.
And that, but honestly, I don't think he's very well conditioned.
Well, I mean, look at the Barboza fight. I mean, he's always had a great cardio. The only time we've only seen it really get tired was the staph infection fight with Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
You know.
And he had a boil that was ready to burst at any second. And he gave Ferguson that work in that first round.
You know, it's funny. I on the previous show, and just sort of doing a lot of tape study for Kevin Lee. He was so much like a little Tyron Woodley. You know, only had really good wrestling in the beginning, not really much else, but he has evolved so much since then. You know, the fact that he can switch stances, strike from both angles, has good kickboxing. I never thought we would get a Kevin Lee that could do everything. Good right hand there by Iaquinta.
Yeah. You know, I thought Kevin Lee would be the guy to dethrone McGregor.
Nah. I knew that wasn't gonna happen because he wasn't gonna get the shot first.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. I expected. I thought Conor was gonna beat Khabib, so so I thought eventually
you picked McGregor against Khabib
only because Khabib's footwork is really not good. Like he's just so good at what he does that he was able to get to his realm.
Where is Burger King?
Where is the Burger King? Okay.
Actually, Burger King sounds good.
Even though Khabib is a legit, probably like just dirtbag in real life. Let's be honest. Great fighter. God damn.
Oh, he's an incredible fighter. He's an incredible fighter, man. It's just I just thought that McGregor was so good in his realm of his strengths that it would be glaring weaknesses exposed with Khabib. I mean, not necessarily exposed because we know this already.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought I think the McGregor that beat Alvarez would have won that fight. The McGregor that beat Alvarez was easily one of the best performances in MMA history. That was superb. I was trying to think of a better, more dramatic adjective than superb, but
it works enough.
Yeah, it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah, I'll take it.
It's passable.
Yeah, see, but I didn't want it to be passable. I wanted it to be just magnanimous. You know, something magnanimous. There we go.
I mean, it doesn't work now. I mean, I'll be honest.
A little too late, huh?
Yeah, a little bit too late. The timing's a little bit off. I think Conor McGregor is one of those guys where he's a rhythm guy. So if his rhythm is on point, if he's the one leading, if he's the one first, he is really hard to disrupt that. With the way he fights offbeat. Again, if he's in control, it's hard to regain control. But if you're the one that starts to fight in control against Conor, it's much easier, I think, to beat him. I think that game plan was always sort of there, it seemed. And Khabib, to his credit, started fast.
Yeah,
that was the thing.
Much faster than he normally starts.
And he was smart about that. His camp was smart about that. They realized that, Conor McGregor's a fast starter, and you're not, and that cannot happen. And they worked against that.
You know, the worst thing that Conor did in that fight was in that first round where he was able to defend that takedown, and then he went back to try to take his back or something. And it was like he was away. He clear. All he had to do was step away.
Yep.
And now Khabib has to meet him on his terms again. And when he let himself get sucked into that void, that was it, man.
What do you think about John Kavanaugh saying that he has to be convinced to train McGregor again? Did you see that?
I did see that.
That was weird.
I asked someone who's got inside knowledge of that camp about that, and the way he put it, he said it wasn't that big of a deal. It was more so that they've made a lot of money together, and he was more concerned about Conor taking unnecessary damage. It wasn't like he didn't want to coach him anymore, sort of thing.
Yeah. I think we always forget about their teammate that passed away. I forget his name.
It wasn't their teammate. It was a guy that their teammate fought.
Okay, thank you for the correction.
That he literally beat him to death in the cage.
And I know that everyone from that camp said it greatly affected them, and we really didn't see them talk about that in any interviews post that happening. So I think we're not really aware of how much it affected them, but that affected them. Conor's been different ever since that happened.
Right.
And I'm not surprised. If you're a fighter and you see somebody literally die in the cage or in the ring, that is going to affect you.
Right. Especially when you get $100 million check and you don't have to do this anymore.
Agreed. And also, I mean, we've been so accustomed in MMA to no one dies in this sport, right? This really false, information that we put out, that the UFC has put out there, that no one dies in this sport, even though we've had tons of people die in Brazil, tons of people have died elsewhere. It was bound to happen in a much more publicized area. And just Conor McGregor being there, I think that was sort of like a shock. Like, people just did not expect it.
Mm-hmm.
We're always told that, people in boxing get more brain damage than MMA. That was sort of the UFC talking point for a very long time.
I mean, it in theory, it still has some truth to it because the rate of deaths in boxing is way bigger than it is in MMA, and so far. In a lot of the cases in MMA, it's been because of extenuating circumstances,
weight cuts
or pre-existing conditions. When a fight has been in a place that has less regulation, So, but also the same commissions that are governing MMA are governing boxing. So that probably could be said if you go through the details of a lot of the deaths in boxing, you might find the same thing there.
And also, it's one of those things where, like, imagine if MMA with a 100-year history, what the rate would be.
Exactly.
Obviously, the sample size we have for MMA is so much smaller. It's literally a fourth of the size, if not less than that, let's be honest, from boxing. Because modern boxing starts around, depending who you ask for historians, 1885, 1910, somewhere around that time, right? And I think with MMA, again, it's a 100-year history. It might be different. And also your point, like if we go and actually research some of those cases about boxers dying, how much did weight cutting have an effect on it? Obviously, weight cutting seems to be more of a newer phenomenon, I would say, for combat sports. Not phenomenon, but a newer trend. You didn't really see Muhammad Ali out there really cutting, 30 pounds.
Well, heavyweights didn't really cut.
Sorry, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah,
you didn't really see Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah, but they were more active. So weight cutting is not an effective thing. It's not it's especially not healthy if you are much more active. If you're fighting 2-3 times a year, you can get away with it. But if you're fighting on a Sugar Ray Robinson schedule, you're fighting like every 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like you can't cut weight. Like there's a reason why you watch. Although nobody watches The Ultimate Fighter anymore, but when those guys are in that house, The Ultimate Fighter, a lot of times as soon as that show is over, they drop a weight class. Because you can't just keep cutting weight.
You can't do it.
Your body's gonna have a rejection for that very soon.
If anyone's really curious,
Kevin Lee is giving him that work right now.
Third round, a minute left in the round. Kevin Lee has just been dominant.
He's backpacking him, man.
It's been dominant on the ground. If anyone's really curious, go and just look at like Jake LaMotta's box rec when he started fighting Sugar Ray Leonard, and look at the time apart from fights.
They had a fight that was 2 weeks apart.
Yes, they fought twice within 1 month.
He fought at that. I think that was like February that he fought.
Yes.
And that starting that January, I think he had fought like 5 times.
Yes, it's an insane stat. Like you really start looking at it.
5 times between the beginning of January to mid-February.
I'll put it this way: if fighters had that schedule, they could have 54 events per year per network, right? They could do that, but man.
Yeah, say like stem cell research, improves to the point where you go right after the fight, they just inject you with something and everything heals. Yeah, throw them back out there next week. But
that's why PED should be legal. Just saying.
It needs to be regulated and researched more.
Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. The only thing about the PED argument, the only thing that I take a step back with is that if it gets to a point where you have to, and it's very public that you have to take PEDs to excel at a certain level in combat sports, think about all the kids that want to be boxers or want to be MMA fighters. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many kids now, like 12-year-old kids that are joining their middle school wrestling teams because they want to fight in the UFC at some point.
Yes.
And them little bastards is going to be on PEDs before long, because then it goes just like it has with football. You have to get an advantage at a younger age every single time, because in order to stand out for the pros, you got to stand out in college. In order to stand out for college, you got to stand out in high school.
Yep. It keeps going smaller and smaller, man.
And we're gonna have a bunch of roid raging little bastards running around terrorizing the streets, man. Get your guns, ladies and gentlemen. Get your guns, because I'm not playing these games. I'm not playing these games, man.
Yo, totally off topic, but I went out like maybe a few days ago, right? Went out with a girl, right, to a bar, and went to a club after that.
Oh, let me brush some dirt off your
shoulder. Just saying, right? I really don't talk about my personal life for a reason, just because it's none of you guys' business listening. But anyways,
and it's boring.
It is boring. It is predominantly boring, right? But
so is adulthood.
It's all boring. I didn't have my kid. I thought I'd go out right with this girl, and I ran into one of the biggest juice heads I've ever seen. And this guy was at least 3 inches smaller than me. But he was, just jacked up. And he must have been 21, 22, right around my age, but maybe a little bit younger.
Fight his way out of a paper bag.
But God, man, the juice levels were just oozing out of him, man. It's concerning. Like, honestly, like, there is, like you said, there's a regulation level that obviously needs to be talked about. On top of that, there was a
his nuts had to have been the size of a
Yeah.
raisin.
Like he was so juiced, like his nipples were just like shooting out of his like medium shirt, right? Like it was like, man, you could poke an eye out with that shit.
The high beams were.
It was bad, man. What was I gonna say? Fuck. But there was a Dutch study, or I believe it was Dutch researchers. I don't know if they were exactly in a Dutch university. They did a study on the categories of WADA, like the 20 plus categories of WADA, and how many of them actually have strong medical evidence that they are performance enhancing. And it's like 5 of the 24 categories have strong evidence. The rest don't. It's just crazy, man. Like I've always made it this way. I assume you've heard it. Like we have determined in our industry to put a Band-Aid over PED regulation, and to put a very faulty, corrupt, ineffective system that is flawed inherently, and try to Band-Aid that over everything. Treat every fighter the same regardless, and treat them all under that same system that is completely flawed. It's like the criminal justice system. It makes no sense. And then that's why when we start talking arguments about like, oh, what should this guy get for suspension? It's like, look, before we talk about any individual case, we talk about this as a whole, the system as a whole. Should it really have this blanket plan of trying to test everyone the same, or should it target distributors? Should it target suppliers? Should it target producers? Should that be the main thrust of what PD regulation is that it doesn't really try to find Joe Schmo on a fight card. It tries to find the people that are giving Joe Schmo those drugs.
Yeah, like, take an actual like war on drugs approach to it, where you try to go after the big guys.
Because right now you're catching the people on the street smoking weed. Like that's the equivalent, in my opinion. You find the person with 3 grams on them, and that's what it is. You're not catching the big fish. And the big fish that do get caught, they're called Victor Conte, and he's allowed to get a job and get a career at Snack and do all this thing, work with VADA, and even though he was part of Balco, even though he was part of Shane Mosley testing positive, like, it's just ridiculous at some level.
I mean, hey, on the bright side, you could always get offered a job by the Nevada Athletic Commission. So, oh my God. Yeah, just...
Hey, I'll be honest, though. If they were paying right, I'd sell my soul.
Hey, you know what? Hey, hey, check out my LinkedIn page.
Oh, that's good.
Quick, Matt, just an update. Saddam Ali got the unanimous decision, 100 to 90, 99, 91, and 98, 92.
As it should be.
Yeah, and Tevin Farmer is about to come down to the ring. So
that's right. We still have the Tevin Farmer fight. Damn, man, this Canelo card is going slow, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the zone.
20 past 3 in the morning.
Shout out to the UK, man. Up late, 3 in the morning. God damn. 4th round, a minute left with Kevin Lee, Iaquinta. Not really much to say because Lee's just been dominant. I think he's been outstriking him. Every time it's gone to the ground, he's been dominant.
He's quicker on the punch.
He's just not going for the kill, it seems, which I'm okay with. He's clearly outfighting Iaquinta, winning dominantly, in my opinion. And to Al's credit, he is catching him with some of these punches here and there that is definitely making Kevin Lee respect him.
Big time. Yeah, and maybe that's why he's not going in for the kill, because he's like, all right, this is dangerous.
Al's been able to counter him at times. Like Al's been able to land right hand counters.
Oh, I like that.
Whatever that was.
Going for that flying knee and then stepping in with a jab. That's one of those awkward things that I've pulled off in sparring before, and I just didn't know how I did it.
Like you wish somebody had a camera just so you can see it again.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, what did I do? But yeah, little awkward things like that can work from time to time. Yeah, Al is still, and I do like how he really sits on those punches.
Yeah, Rob, I hope you're listening to what AJ's saying. Oh wait, you don't have the zone. You're watching Sky. Never mind.
Yeah, I've got Gerald Miller sitting down with Adam Smith and Matt Macklin.
Interesting. Has AJ been interviewed by Sky yet?
Uppercut.
I haven't seen AJ on the mic. I don't know if they've crossed paths yet, him and Jarrell, but
I'm assuming they're probably going to switch. So like AJ probably go to Sky now and get interviewed, and Big Baby will go to DAZN. That's what I would assume. That would make sense. Don't know if it happens.
Hopefully they cross paths and Jarrell Miller can whisper in his ear something like, "Remember, I want to take your mama on a date" or something. get some flash point.
Yo, Big Baby is something else, man.
Yeah, he's got the talk. You know, we know what AJ is. He'll just stand there and look like, respect me, but he won't really do much, I wouldn't imagine. But you know, you never know. But I saw a tweet today that if obviously the Wilder fight doesn't happen, they're expecting it to be Dillian White and then Jarrell Miller for Joshua's American debut later in the year.
Ooh. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Looks like most of the chatter I'm seeing on Twitter has this fight even going into this round. So obviously we haven't been looking at everything directly enough to score it. So,
I mean, true, but I didn't see a single round for Al.
I'm seeing a lot that he won that last round. The highlights that they showed look. Yeah.
I mean, I'll put it this way. Of all the rounds you could pick for Al, that could be it because Kevin Lee wasn't on the ground that much in that round, and neither guy really had any sort of dominance, but okay. It's even. So they must have gave, the first round to Al, right, as well.
Yeah.
Because the second one, he took his back, and the third round he took his back, right? Like, those were dominant rounds, I would say.
I mean, the first one I wouldn't say necessarily was dominant, but I thought Lee looked like the better fighter.
Yeah.
I thought Lee looked like the better fighter in that first round.
Maybe it's the two
This
beers.
is an awkward position right here. Yeah, maybe it is.
the two beers, man, yeah.
Yeah, you know, 2 beers and I'm 3 sheets to the wind.
Very quick. Keith Idek has tweeted, "It's never a good sign when a boxer enters the ring to Born to Run." That was Fonseca's entrance music for the Tevin Farmer fight.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
What the hell is he wearing?
I don't know.
Farmer has come dressed as
a double bird.
That looks just foolish.
I guess it's the Philly Eagles, right?
Well, they're in New York, right?
No, Philadelphia Eagles.
No,
but
Tevin
Farmer's he's from Philly.
Okay,
he's from Philly.
He guess he wants to piss off Madison Square Garden.
I guess, but goddamn, I mean, that's what you pick to rep your Eagles.
Like Eagles have much better looking gear than that. That looks atrocious, man. Knock that shit.
And also,
all
it's
the
the
way
double. It's the double effect. Like he has it on the top and the bottom, so it looks weird. Like obviously, once he just has the shorts, maybe it won't look as weird. But yeah,
that
come
just
on,
looks
Tevin.
really, really bad.
He had real loud attire last time, didn't he? It was all multicolored.
That's Tevin, man. That's always him.
Yeah. He's on a high though. Like we said on the show, Matt. His confidence is absolutely brimming right now.
Agreed.
Pull that leg out. See if if he tries to sink in that little triangle around the leg. See if he can pull his base out.
Doesn't look like it.
Nah. Now
he doesn't have the strength under it.
Yeah. Now with Al sitting up, it's not gonna work.
Still 2.5 minutes left in the round too.
Yeah, halfway point, and if this is even,
which I still don't understand how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna rewatch this when I get home, but
because I'll be honest, like these 2 rounds I could see for Al, right? Like the 4th and 5th round, maybe, especially this round. This round, Al's been looking really good, honestly. But those first 3 rounds, that was clear in my opinion. Ooh,
oh, nice head kick.
Did nothing though, man. Al ate that shit and threw a 2-piece right back.
His jaw looks messed up, man. The way his mouth is holding open.
And he broke the jaw. It was a loud snap.
Yeah. Yeah, his mouth is wide open, man. I think that kick might have. And you see, he's kind of favoring it to one side.
It would be different if, let's say, he started the round with his mouth open, like he just tired in a sense, right? That 5th round.
I think his mouth opened up on that kick.
No, you're right. And he's still coming back and hurting.
Lee's hurt though. Man, can you if Al was more active, what this guy would be doing? And it's so crazy because this is the same Al you would see any other time.
If Al's been a perennial top 10 guy without being active, that's impressive in and of itself.
Somehow Nate Diaz is still ranked in the top 10. That's just ridiculous. That man hasn't fought.
Well, it's funny how before that he was dropped from the rankings so fast, right before the Conor McGregor double fights, but now he's different. They don't want to piss him off, man. Because if they drop him from the ranking, you know what Nate's going to do. He's going to go on Twitter, say fuck at UFC, and that would be it. And it would create issues. And I think whoever is really running the ship at the UFC, they must realize the potential that Nate Diaz is, and they
just kind of accommodate him.
Yeah, you have to at this point.
Except for however much he must be demanding for a return fight. Although they did get him into the
right counter.
Wow, that was Al is winning this round, man.
Oh yeah, this has been the clearest round.
Yeah, if this fight was even going into this last round, Al has won this fight. Unless Kevin Lee pulls off something crazy.
A good front kick right there. God damn.
Yeah, and he's backing him up and everything.
Oh,
that body shot had to. Oh, that was from hell.
Right hand.
Oh,
God.
man.
Ow, man.
No, the fight's over. He's still, man, that's an emotional dude, man. The fight's over, man.
You
Let it go, bro.
You left in the cage a little bit, man. You can't be that aggressive in the last 10 seconds and when you were very lackadaisical in the first 3 rounds. It's going to be interesting. Especially, like you said, since it seems like MMA Twitter is conflicted on it, which I definitely need to watch the fight again if that's the case.
Let's see. Apparently, Matt Serra gave him a corner speech from the gods.
Oh, I hate when I miss those, man. Those are always the greatest.
I'm seeing if I can find anybody scoring this right now.
I thought the first 3 rounds clear for Kevin Lee. Last 2, definitely Al's.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this again. All right, so I see a 3-2 for Al from a guy whose opinion I respect a lot.
Who?
Dave Doyle.
Ooh, okay, Dave.
Yeah, shout out to Dave Doyle, man. He's a cool dude.
He just had a really good article come out, I think, for Yahoo about it was like MMA's lost generation in a sense, like talking about like the mid 2000s.
Oh, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Al Bronster is scoring it for Al 3-2.
Wow, we must have missed something in those first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
which is weird because we were dialed in that first round.
We were, and then we just started talking.
Yeah, but the next 2 rounds looked easy. Like they looked like it was clear in Kevin Lee's face. Oh, I don't know.
We started talking about Matt's date, looking at men with juicing and stuff.
Yeah, that was a weird date.
Yeah, that guy's nipples
I
distracted us.
I didn't ask her out again. I'm good.
When you start talking men's nipples, you're going to take you off the ball. Really.
I'll put it this way: when you're on a date and like you start noticing like other people in the club and the bar more than your date.
Shout out to the date.
Yeah, shout out to the date, man.
She's not the one.
She ain't.
She ain't the one.
Like, Ron in the chat, Fighter IQ, has got it 3-2 to Al.
Damn. We must have missed something when we were talking. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, we just happened to look over every time that Kevin Lee won an exchange.
Was doing shit,
yeah, maybe.
And Al wasn't.
Yeah.
Hashtag men's nipples.
Ron, let me know what round you gave Al. I'm curious about that.
He had it even going into the last.
Well, I assume he...
Yep, and Al wins the decision. All right, let me see if I can... I'm going to...
Wow.
See if I can find the... I know...
Call in 323-870-4051, especially if you pick Al to win.
48-47, 48-47, and 49-46 for Al.
Damn. 49-46?
Guess we got to rewatch this mofo, huh?
Shout out to Matt.
To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people.
Thank you, Rob. I just don't know how that happened. Like, unanimous decision. 49-46.
So at least shout out to who's that?
PSK, good listener to the show.
All right, so saying on the chat that
judge was crazy.
Okay,
I'm not going to really argue much with the 3-2 for Al because again we weren't scoring it, we were talking, so I understand that. But 4-1,
scoring it, watching it.
Yeah, 4-1. I don't know, but there's always that one judge. There's always that one judge.
There was always that one judge. Goddamn.
You know what? No, this isn't in New York. I'm about to say Doug Crosby better not be anywhere near this event.
It was Sal D'Amato. Good old Sal.
Okay.
I think it was Glenn Throwbridge. So you might have had the who's who.
Yeah.
Tonight. It might have been that. If you have Sal D'Amato on your judges list, get ready. Get ready for some shit, man.
You better knock somebody out.
Oh, goddamn.
But anything's better than Doug Crosby.
Yeah,
because with Doug Crosby, there's no consistency. That's the thing that frightens me about him. Like, you just don't know what he's gonna say.
Damn, I can't believe Kevin Lee lost. I'm actually kind of upset about this. You put up a good fight, Motown. Don't worry about it. You did a good job. Damn.
Yeah, man.
I think this is an Al that's inactive.
Yeah.
Doing this, man. If only he was active.
Yeah.
You could give a lot of these
But
guys
you know
this
what?
work.
Maybe that's worked out better for him.
Could.
You know, it keeps the body healthier. Maybe I don't know. Or maybe allows him to train more technique. You know, because when you're in fight camp, you're not going to learn anything necessarily. You're you're learning everything in between camps.
Yeah.
So if you stay active, more camps means less time to actually add to your game, as opposed to just getting in shape and coming up with a strategy that's within your skill set.
Agreed. Ron, please call in if you can. I don't know what you're doing over there at TBV right now. Tevin Farmer up in the second round against Francisco Francesca. God, I'm kind of blown away by this last fight. It was a good fight. I think we need to state that because I don't think we really say that. That was a fun fight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to win any Fight of the Year awards, but that was a fun fight, good fight. And definitely need to watch that one back because obviously people are crediting Al for, I would assume, his combination punching, his counter punching. You know, I don't know. It seemed like such a clear 3-2.
That was a slick.
But
spin.
that thing happened in the first round. I mean, I think maybe people are just, they like that. They like the work from Al. I thought I did better.
I like that combination. It's just, the thing is, when you just look at the highlights of it, the highlights are always skewed. So, especially when the guy has already been announced as the winner, they're just going to show the things that he did right. And that's kind of it. So I am definitely going to rewatch this fight, and I'm going to look at it without the live chat.
Yeah, that is the difference.
Without the Modelo. Although I do have some Modelo in the crib, so I might crack one open.
But it's hard to score fights and pay attention, especially when we have two going at the same time.
It's hard to keep track of everything. Every time I found myself watching 2 or 3 fights at a time, man,
it's rough. It's
which
hard.
I find really amazing that you're consistently able to do that.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. It's definitely a prioritization effect. So you have to realize what fight you should be watching more of. When fights start going one way and it seems to be going just that way, you can kind of tune out a little bit. You just have to sort of pick and choose what you pay attention to and do it. I've had 4 different streams going on at the same time. That's too much. 2 is easy. I can do 2. 3 is difficult, but again, just prioritization. What fights you choose to watch, especially in the prelims. Like I'll have prelims of a boxing event and a MMA event going at the same time. I'm doing other stuff, maybe.
If prelims of boxing and prelims of UFC, give me UFC prelims any day.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You might recognize someone on that. It might be something a little more worth your time. The most I've had is 3 at once. I had this wasn't that long ago. Lomachenko was fighting the same day as a Bellator card and a UFC pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in a bar with Bellator on one TV. The UFC was directly in front of me, and I was watching Lomachenko on my phone. Didn't help
see the
my live tweeting efforts.
The phone thing you can't do. Like, luckily, I got the studio enough set up so I got like my computer that can be a stream. I got the TV. I got the other TV, right? But watching fights on the phone.
Oh no! That's super trash, man. The thing is, I tried to bring my laptop to this bar before, and it just wasn't working because I just didn't trust the people around me to not spill shit on it.
Was it like a Buffalo Wild Wings?
No, it was. I love this bar too, O'Brien's in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the place that they have that Conor McGregor mural out the side of it. But that used to be a bar that had a partnership with my original podcast, so we'd go there and watch all these fights. And even after that official relationship kind of fizzled out, still would go there to watch a lot of the fight cards until Sherdog started reimbursing me for my pay-per-views. So I would still go there and watch them, and had the phone on that, and it was it was not the business. I was very happy when that Lomachenko fight ended, so I could just
watch one thing.
Yeah, I could just turn that off and just watch 2 fights. And then, you know, when John Fitch and Paul Daly were fighting, like that first round was kind of crazy. And then after that, it turned into a typical John Fitch fight. And then, okay, I'm watching UFC.
Yep.
You know?
That's how I have to do it. Rob. Wow. Shots at me. Rob, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thoughts on the Tevin Farmer fight, since I really haven't been watching it?
Yeah, he's looking good. Obviously, southpaw against orthodox, you expect sometimes to get a little bit scrappy when they get inside, but you know, the standing on each other's feet and shit. But no, it's good. Farmer's looking good, but from Farmer's, you know, pretty game so far. But I think Farmer's definitely the slicker, you know, the much more quality kind of guy, the fighter. So yeah, what are we in third round now? I think Farmer's got he's up in all three cards, in my opinion.
Definitely the crowd's filling out too in MSG. That's a good thing. Obviously the Canelo fight's next, so it should be pretty full at this point.
And Farmer's, I think, worth a watch. He is pretty slick, and but yeah, they're there for Canelo, I guess, or Rocky.
yeah. Obviously, everyone's there for Rocky Fielding. Your man.
I think there's about I think 2,000 Brits traveled.
That's not surprising though. It's New York. Like that's an easier flight. You know, if this was like an LA or Vegas fight, I don't know if that many would show up.
Well, they showed up for Fury.
Well, that's Fury though. I mean,
they showed up.
Fury. I mean, Rocky Fielding is not Fury.
Fury fans were worse than McGregor fans.
In what way? I'm not disputing that.
No, they were just ruckus. Like so.
Oh really? We actually like met a bunch of nice Fury fans, to be honest. Like in bars and stuff. Like the day before the fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they were there too. But when it actually was going on, so I was sitting right by the fighter walkouts, and they had a little media section set up right there, but it wasn't really separated from the fans. And as the walkouts were about to start, I mean, fans were just charging over to our area and all over us and hanging on our backs and everything, trying to get to it. And they're screaming all sorts of craziness and pushing everybody over. Now, I will say this, at 229, McGregor versus Khabib, there were a lot of fights going on in the arena. And
that's not surprising.
That got airdropped to Mark Raimondi. He's sitting beside me in the media room, and then he'd be like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And some fan airdropped him a random fight in the bathroom, and people getting knocked out all over the place. So I don't know. Everybody's crazy.
Remember after there was that big video that went viral of they were like by concession stands. Remember, and the McGregor fans spat at the Khabib fans, and that just turned into a bunch of Conor McGregor fans getting the shit kicked out of them, man. It was great.
I think that was one of the videos that got airdropped to him. And he was like, should we share this?
Yes.
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 Yes. Share it yesterday.
Yes, that would easily be 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to airdrop.
Shout out to airdrop.
Man, that's the one thing that made me like, man, maybe I should get some trash ass Apple phone.
Telling you, man. Telling you. It's life changing.
I can't stand iPhones, man. I can't stand the format of them. They look stupid.
They're great.
Trash.
The format's amazing.
Trash.
The UI is just impeccable.
Trash.
You have a fucking Android. Don't talk.
I got an Android. Yeah, it's better.
Better is a very relative term at this point. Being thrown around loosely.
Hey, an update doesn't completely destroy my operating system. So.
Hey, I've had the iPhone 6 for like 3 or 4 years now. It's still chugging, man.
You just not doing the updates?
I'm not getting rid of the. No, I am doing the updates.
Oh, you are? Oh,
I am,
playing
right?
The game, right? I don't know. You hacking it or something, man?
You know what? Like, I'll be honest. There's times where like it lags, it sort of like shuts down. Like it has its moments, right? It's an older phone, but I'm not getting rid of that aux cord. Like, I'm not gonna get the new iPhone with the bullshit like adapter. That's another $20. That's owned by a Apple subsidiary. Nah.
Yeah,
I understand the corporate greed right there. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's like...
Put the aux cord back and we good. I'll buy another iPhone.
Steve Jobs' little brother or something runs that company.
It's Belkin.
It's like George and Jeb Bush or something, man.
Yes, it's 100% that.
Just all these hookups in the family.
Goddamn
Trash.
Apple. Rob, how you doing over there at 4 a.m. in the morning?
listening to this crazy Apple versus Android fiasco going on right now.
I know you're a team iPhone. Don't worry, Rob. I know where your loyalties, lie with the truth.
But I agree. The little adapter just to have, headphones or your ear.
Well, do you have the newer iPhone, Rob?
I have a 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
That adapter.
I'm not sorry for him because that's expensive, man. Rob over there balling into you. Man, making it rain
with iPhone 10s.
Like
the UK needs more rain, but you making it rain, brother.
I wish I was, but that also Demetrius Andrade has put out that he'll be defending his WBO middleweight.
Yeah, I saw that.
18th.
I saw that. I forget who reported that first. I think it was Dan Rayfield.
Yeah, probably
your favorite. I'm
Is that
Look, I'm not saying like I don't believe it's happening. I 100% believe that the fight's happening if everyone's talking about it. I'm just very curious about how his legal issues are going with that the unregistered weapon, the felony charge. That's always just red tape.
Yeah,
just for you to understand it, Anthony.
King Mo, Liam McGarry is starting now.
Oh, I can pull it up. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, cool.
Don't worry. Demetrius Andrade won the vacant WBO middleweight champion since Billy Joe Saunders tested positive. I think it was for clenbuterol. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, you're right. That's very popular these days.
It is very popular these days. I wonder why.
You are wrong there.
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? And I think, a month or two after, he got caught by Rhode Island police with an unregistered gun on him and a bag full of cash. And it's the Northeast, man.
Was he caught in an action movie set?
I don't know. And I forget the exact wording of it, but the way it was described is that Demetrius Andrade basically said, "Well, I need it for protection," and the cops just did not buy it at all.
Well, you need. I mean, if you are a drug dealer, you do need protection.
You do need protection.
So he didn't lie.
He did not lie. So he is currently going through some legal situations with a felony charge, and currently now has a fight scheduled all of a sudden, right after that news. Which
where's the fight being held?
Ooh, Rob, check that as I pull up the Liam McGarry fight for gold.
In New York City, at the Garden.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe that apparently he does have paperwork for the weapon, but he didn't have the paperwork with him in his vehicle. So
okay, so it's just a clerical issue, and
possibly, or is that paperwork getting constructed as we speak?
Mm-hmm. That's one.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get like
it's weird for the report
TUE for the gun.
It's weird for the reporting to say unregistered weapon, and then for it to turn out to be registered like that. I don't really know of cases where that happens. Like if a gun is registered, you run the serial number, and you can.
Barres, that happened.
Yeah,
you
can run the serial number and tell if it's registered or not. Like that. That is literally not an issue, in my opinion.
If it's registered in a different state, I mean that's
you're right. It could be an issue, but his hometown is in Rhode Island. That's where he lives. So
it was. He lives in. It wasn't like he was.
No, it wasn't. He was in a different state. No, he was in Rhode Island.
Okay.
So it's just a weird story, especially again with the announcement that he has a fight scheduled in a few weeks. When this news came out last week, it's just the timing of it's odd. Like the PR. Damage control has been non-existent, and that's always weird when you don't see really any press releases, any sort of comments from Eddie Hearn, his promoter, him himself, talking about the case and the connection it has to his fight coming up. It's just a weird case where I don't know really what to make of it because there's just such little information we have right now.
Yeah, Von Fire in the fifth is putting on a little bit more. He's showing a little bit more. So, it's a sort of fun fight at the moment. He's giving Tevin Farmer a bit of trouble right now. And I think Farmer predicted he'd get him out of there in 4. So, shout out to round 5.
Francesco's tough, though. That's probably going to go the full decision. Liam McGarry versus King Mo Lawal on Bellator right now, also on the zone at Bellator 213.
Oh, wow. I expect the streaming issues to be abundant. If they're streaming 2 different events right now,
it's rough
I would
here.
expect some.
It was funny. It was funny. The Bellator card was buffering, and I looked over to the Canelo card, and it was buffering too. I'm like, damn it, it's gonna be one of those. The one thing is though, at least it doesn't skip.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously, like we're gonna be far behind whatever is the linear TV, like, you know, connection. But at least it's not skipping ahead of stuff and we're missing things like illegal streaming does sometimes. You know, where I'm just speaking from what I've been told, not experienced. That, you know, it buffers and you skip, you know, a minute of the round. You know.
Or you ever get one of those streams where it loops the same 30 seconds?
Ooh, those piss me off.
And I'm like, why is he doing that same damn punch again?
And it takes you way too long to figure it out. Yeah, every time. I'll admit, Liam McGarry without the mohawk and the hair, it's a bad version.
Man, I remember Liam McGarry was like the next big thing in light heavyweight.
He was supposed to be the John Jones British version of Bellator. He was. Like, he came up at the time when John Jones was champion, I want to say. Big, tall guy, good talker, good striking. Seemed to be creative. You know, seemed to be creative in that way that you want great fighters to be, and just did not win the fights he needed to. You know, just kind of looked subpar. I know he's dealt with injuries as well. I don't know how much that has affected his career long term. It's one of those things that you really can't quantify in any way with data, but it's interesting. He's a what if in MMA history, Liam McGarry.
Big time.
If he had succeeded, he could have been a huge bedrock for Bellator as a main eventer. He could have been their UK guy much more than a Paul Daly or Michael Venom Pages. Just kind of sad. Oh, what is happening with the screen right there, dude?
That spotlight or whatever that is on the screen.
Yo, shout out to the zone, man.
Whoa. Oh, so somebody just their head just went through the camera. I just saw their head walk that camera, like the old bootleg movies. Man, shout out to the zone with the fuckery on the broadcast. Now, you know, and I think also too, like, speaking of what ifs, I mean, King Mo is another big what if in MMA. Do you remember when King Mo was like the hottest prospect out there, and then he emerged kind of around the same time John Jones got dominant, and he was a guy that was looked at could be a real threat for Jones if he made it to the UFC.
He's another guy that's dealt with injuries as well.
Oh, big time.
Big time.
Yeah, that he had a horrible staph infection.
Yeah.
He almost lost his leg from that. You know, I met him. It had to have been at least. Yeah, he is. He's a really nice guy. I met him about a year or so before I became part of MMA media. This is even before I started my podcast or anything. So I was just straight up a fan at this point. He happened to come to the hotel that I worked at as a bartender. He when he was filming a commercial for Bellator, he stayed at the hotel because the Dave and Buster's was right around the corner. But anyway, talked to him for a bit. And he was telling me, like, this was maybe a year and a half removed from that staff. And he's like, man, I lost so much weight. I'm just starting to gain my weight back. I think this was right when the Czech Congo fight was announced. And he was saying, like, I'm just starting to feel kind of like myself now.
And also that Rafael Fejal fight, that changed him from not to say changed him, but that was that moment in his career that everything started going downhill. And I think he never regained that momentum he had in his prime Strikeforce days, where he like handled
Gegard Mousasi,
and he was being pushed as their guy. He was brought in like Prince Nassim on the throne, Rob, like with the crown and everything. Like you
talking about the pro wrestling theater? I mean, he did a stint pro wrestling also.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
him and Rampage Jackson were working with TNA,
the Bellator and TNA cross promotion.
Man, that went nowhere very quickly. They were on TNA twice.
They filmed like 3 commercials, and then that was the partnership.
From all those movie opportunities they had.
Yeah, that went absolutely nowhere. But King Mo was the perfect guy for that sort of synergy. His personality wise, I mean, you met him and talked to him and stuff. Yeah, he is a easy guy to talk to. He's very personable. He was actually a analyst for ESPN very briefly.
Yes.
He was on MMA Live very briefly.
With John Anik way back in the day.
Yeah, way back. Seeing King Mo with the suit on.
Man, you know what's funny?
That too often.
I used to really love that show, man.
I love that show. Yes.
And it's crazy the progression like John Anik has had since then. Like, he's probably now, I think, universally regarded as like the best guy in that role. Like, he's far surpassed Mike Goldberg, and just from a pure technical perspective and commentary.
Yeah, much better than a play-by-play than Goldberg.
You know, and he started out really as just being, in my opinion, like a talking head on ESPN. Like one of those obnoxious guys. Honestly, I love John Anik now, but I previously thought him as that obnoxious talking head on ESPN that other people would have to come in on the show and educate him.
Mhm.
That's how I really perceived it
I
at
mean,
first.
because he wasn't an MMA guy.
No.
He called like college basketball or something before
like
that.
Him and Dave Schaller were probably together doing Sixers stuff back in the day.
Yeah, I remember watching. Shout out to Franklin McNeil.
Yes.
Who was a part of that show, but he's primarily a boxing guy, mostly a boxing writer. He actually friended me on Facebook after I met him.
Ooh, that's so nice.
Way back as a fan. But he
He friended you, or you friended him? You can't remember.
I can't remember. It was a long.
See,
time
there's
ago.
a difference though. There's a major difference in that.
Here's the thing. Like, everybody wants to be my friend. Not really. I'm kind of a jackass, but he became Facebook friends and stuff. Like he's a cool guy, but it was clear like he was someone who was brought in who didn't know about MMA a whole lot.
Yes.
Anik was part of that ilk as well, but Anik has really educated himself on the sport and really gone back and researched things and watched old fights and prepared.
His grind and hustle for just knowledge it's almost been unprecedented when it comes to like commentary personalities in MMA. Like no one really does their research is as sharp on the mic as John Anik in his play-by-play role. The only other person I can think of is just a very different person like Mauro Ranallo.
Right.
But that's such a different type.
Yeah, he kind of blurs the lines between color and play-by-play
Yes.
just by how animated he is. But he's also now when you talk about Mauro is, in my opinion, the greatest commentator in combat sports. Period. He's done everything at a high level. He's done the highest levels of boxing, the highest levels of mixed martial arts, the highest levels of kickboxing, the highest levels of pro wrestling. It doesn't get any better than Mauro.
Agreed.
No.
I've always said that he is the best commentator of the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, he's up there. He's up there with the GOATs of commentary, honestly. Like, there's been no one that's done as many sports at the highest level than him. Like, you get some that have, like, done, like a Brian Stan, for example. Fantastic MMA commentator. One of the best in his time when he was doing it all the time. Now he does, I think, college football, I want to say, right? Obviously not the highest level of football. So you can't really compare that with Mauro Ranallo, who's done WrestleMania, Pride back in the day in Japan with 80,000 people, not UFC, boxing at the highest level.
Right, he's done Strike Force. He's
done everything.
Yeah, he's done everything. Yeah.
Rob, any thoughts on the Farmer fight? Because we haven't been talking about it at all.
No,
I feel bad.
It's a fun fight. Fonseca's putting in a good show, but Farmer's very slick, making him miss a bit.
Oh, damn. King Molawal knocked out and finished by Liam McGarry. Sorry,
that came
Rob.
out of nowhere.
An awful job by the ref. Oh, my God.
What is up with these
Ref came in and stopped the action when he was knocked down, acting almost like a boxing ref, honestly. Forgetting that, hey, there's no knockdowns in MMA.
He was about to count.
It looked like he was about to count him out.
Yeah.
And then Liam McGarry, knowing that the ref technically has not called it off, has not waved it off, comes in, throws another hand, and connects while the ref is actually on top of King Mo. Just a weird scene. Right hand set it up after the jab for King Mo. And, yeah, that finishing sequence from the ref, awful job there. I want to know who that was. It looked like Mario Yamasaki. But I'll be honest, I haven't really been paying attention that much.
See, this event is in Hawaii. I don't know.
That's not Mario.
No, but this event is in Hawaii, so
Is that
I
his
don't know
brothers?
who works for that commission. He's got a few brothers that also ref,
And they're all bad, and they're all worse than he is.
They all have. It's funny. They have ethnic names that just don't seem to match. So I didn't know that
Mario Yamasaki.
Yeah, it was just
for example,
Fernando Yamasaki. So when I first UFC event I went to, I didn't know that there was a Fernando Yamasaki. The Yamasaki name is pretty big in martial arts in the DC area where I'm from. But anyway, they introduced Fernando Yamasaki. I'm like what? Like who's next? Is it Tyrone Yamasaki? Like like who's coming up next?
Carlos Yamasaki,
yeah. Chad Yamasaki,
Brad Yamasaki.
I was just really confused by that.
I gotta admit, these Hawaiian shirts for the Bellator Hawaii shit is just awful. Please stop.
Matt, can you guess which one of our group chat friends might have had the winner of that card that you didn't watch, the main event, winning by a 5-round decision at plus 750?
Yo, Brew hit it.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know how much he had on it, but
Pittsburgh Brew betted on Iaquinta and won. God damn you, Brew. You fucking bastard. Not surprised, though. Al's a Northeast guy, and so is Brew. So Brew's a guy that rides with his, so I'm not surprised by that at all. Damn. I'm so upset.
He wins all the time, Aubrey.
Sorry about that person in the chat. Everyone that's in the chat, he has been removed.
Oh, the douchebag.
Yeah, remember, no, very clear like rules on the show. Like,
yeah, don't say stupid stuff.
Don't
like just don't be a dick. Like it's really, you know how easy it is to just not be a dick. All you have to do is just be like a decent human being.
It's hard, man.
And don't spread your
advice, Matt.
Your conspiracy theories.
Shut up. I'm a decent human being, Rob. Okay, you fucking wanker, you cunt. Okay.
English words. I taught you well, young Padawan.
Thank you. I don't know what. It's the internet, man. Like people
don't realize they can get beat down in real life, man. Like all you keyboard warriors out there, come catch these hands, man. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of this, man. I'm so tired of this. Come catch these hands, man. I'm done with that.
And obviously, I mean, I guarantee you deal with it more than I do because you cover MMA exclusively.
Oh,
you're a black media member.
Oh yes.
You know, I'm a white guy. I'm still boxing media. Yeah. Wait. Is that a real question?
Really? I thought you were Hispanic.
No, I'm white.
Oh, okay.
I'm technically Portuguese, but that shit.
Oh, okay. Oh,
that shit's European as fuck. I'm sorry.
You're exotic white.
Like,
guy.
look at my grandma. She's white, right? My mom, white as white. Like John McCain, white, right? My dad, tan as hell. Both Portuguese.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought you were Hispanic.
No. I'm pretty white. But anyways, so I don't nearly get.
Let's go to the Gap.
Let's go to the Gap. But like, I nearly don't get as much shit from like the neo-Nazi side of MMA fandom. I just don't. Yeah. I assume you get more of that. Yeah, I would want to beat up people in the comment section. I do like all the time. Like I get people that are just say wild shit to me that just makes no sense. I remember it was back during the election, right? So it's a little different time,
of course,
right? Yeah. But I remember people. Like, there was a few people calling me the Lügenpresse. And if you don't know what that is, that was what the Nazis called the Jewish press.
That's what...
Right?
Yeah,
so, like,
okay.
that was probably the weirdest thing that I've been called in my day from fans. And that was... I actually blocked that person. I remember, like, physically going and, like, not muting them, right? Because we had this conversation earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I blocked them. I was like, nah. Like, this is ridiculous.
Man.
I reported that. I blocked it. I'm like, you can't just say that stuff and think it's okay.
You know what? A lot of these fools, they're hiding behind these keyboards. They're hiding behind, and it's always the guys who don't have their face on the profile. They've got
don't have the real name.
Yeah, they have some pseudonym for the name, some foolishness, and they are the ones who aren't ready to catch these hands. Like that's the invitation is open. Come catch these hands. Like I'm sick of this.
But even before that, like the arguments they make are so bad. Like I made a comment unrelated to maybe racial stuff, but Steve Kim, though, has definitely had his allegations of racial bias or racist reporting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to really delve into that specifically, but the responses I got from his fanboys that came at me, and those are the same fanboys that have, Triple G as their avatar, has Lomachenko as their avatar, doesn't have their names on. I know those type of people. I just know it. I'm not an idiot here. And they talk about how Clarissa Shields is a racist, how Clarissa Shields is ugly and all this stuff. I'm like, man, like, it's Serena Williams all over again. It's Michelle Obama all over again. It's that same way, man. I'm just like, stop. Like, stop with the arguments because they're just bad arguments. Like, if they were making good arguments, I might entertain it a little bit, right?
If you're making fight-based arguments.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Or if you want to, big up Steve Kim, right, to use that example, I'm fine with that, but make an actual argument. Don't say, oh, he has an opinion, he's deserved of that, and then come attack me for my opinion. Like the logic behind that argument is just unfounded because it's a double standard. For your man, you're going to ride with his opinion regardless. With your person, you're going to ride with that opinion regardless of the merit of it. But when somebody critiques that opinion, then you have an issue with their opinion, that critic's opinion. And if your foundational defense is, well, all opinions are fine, I'm going to fight for people's right to say their opinion, why are you coming at me for mine?
Yeah, just shut the hell up then.
You know, it's great.
But one thing that a lot of these people don't understand is logic and reasoning, intelligence. Those are things that they can't quite comprehend because their minds are the size of, I mean, they probably have the combined IQ of a raisin, maybe the intellect of a power tool.
And those are the first
really stupid
those are the
people
first people to say like, oh, IQ statistics are skewed towards white people, right? Like it's like those like bullshit arguments on like the bell curve. This is totally off tangent. I deeply apologize to everyone listening, but I don't. Because let's be honest, no fights are going right now. We have Oscar in a suit that's way too tight.
Yeah, buddy. Oh my God.
Like his neck, man. Like I'm concerned.
Like, okay, the neck is too big, but the waist is all wrong.
Yeah, it's bad.
You got way too much money to be dressed like that, bro. Come on now.
I just want another classic Oscar moment at a press conference.
You do?
Hey, I didn't watch that whole thing. Did you watch the whole thing?
Are you gonna? Because
you were there, right? Tell me you were there.
The Golden Boy MMA.
You were there, right?
My classic moment was we have a great undercard. I can't remember the names right now, but they're all good.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's just that's what you were talking about.
But
that was so trash.
It was. I think it was Bohochina Depot, I think is his name on Twitter. I forget his actual
yeah, I know who you're talking
but he's
about,
always doing like the Tito stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like it's fucking hilarious, right? But he did one of Oscar in that press conference where it's I don't know how edited it is, but it definitely looks like he was on something, right? Like the hand wringling, I'm just saying, man. Like I have enough experience as a white guy to know that those things are clear indicators of some substance, Great. We need people like Oscar. Like I know like I've always been of the mindset of like I wish the sport was better, it's more professional. Like I'm always of that mindset, but I will be honest. Things like Oscar versus Dana 3-round fight, fucking hilarious to me.
That is
like
something that can only happen in combat sports.
I pseudo live for those moments.
And no matter how
Rob's shaking his head. Rob's shaking his head like, God damn it.
Like, no matter how much money gets into combat sports, no matter how big of a business it is, how many fans are attracted to it, it's still
weird.
It's still a weird niche product
with weird fans.
It's gonna attract the crazies.
And boxing's the same. Boxing's the same. Yeah.
Boxing is just the same. Boxing is exactly the same. The crazies in boxing come from a different place than the crazies in MMA, but they all crazy. They are all very skewed people who have interesting worldviews, and that is no matter what is going to be the core of the combat sports fan base. And we're among that group. We aren't normal people.
No, we are not.
Everybody on the chat right now, you guys are not normal.
Think about
people.
You guys are spending your Saturday night listening to two people you barely know talk on YouTube, talk about fights you're watching on a streaming app right now.
Yeah, and think about just not even just that you're watching us talk about it. You're also watching some guys that you also don't know stand there half naked and beat each other half to death. Like that's not normal.
No.
But I'm here for it, and and I love this shit. So
Rob,
here I am.
Rob, how weird are you?
Yeah, I'm doing it, and it's 4 a.m. So.
Yeah, see, like the
UK
hardcores are the weirdest. I gotta say this because I'll be honest.
That's dedication, man.
I used to stay up late for like the old Pride shows back in the day, right? In the early aughts, but nowadays, no.
You staying up for the Rise of New Year's card?
No.
You ain't trying to see that Floyd tension?
No, I'm gonna watch that on YouTube afterwards.
You're not trying to see Caldwell and Horiguchi?
Okay, look, here's the thing. Obviously, that Caldwell-Horiguchi fight is fantastic. It's Bellator versus Ryzen. I like that. I'm there for that. But at 3 a.m. for pay-per-view price, nope. I'm going to go find that fight for free the next morning at 10 a.m. on Daily Motion, on YouTube, on allthebestfights.com, regardless. So that's what I'm going to do. I haven't stayed up for a Ryzen fight since its inception. I tried once. I fell asleep at 1 a.m.
He's going to kick Floyd in the face. I will tune in if I know it pre-hand. That if he's going to use a knee or an elbow or something, I'm tuning
Like
in.
if you got the tip from his camp, like, hey, Tenton's gonna go wild in there. He doesn't give a fuck. Like you'd be like, okay.
Floyd
Fuck
wins
off.
it by tornado kick.
Just something. If I just, it's like
There's no way that's not a shit show, right?
Oh, it's going to be a total shit show. I don't think he realizes he is being set up by by the Japanese
by the new age
promotion.
yakuza.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he realizes what he's getting into.
I will say this: there's a reason why he waited till he got home to write that Instagram
Oh,
post.
he was not doing that from Tokyo.
No, he was not.
He was safely in the Mayweather mansion
With tons of guards.
Yeah, yeah, man. He was not about that action. I'm surprised he even went back to Japan.
Yeah, I am kind of shocked that they actually made it.
Yeah, well, I was like, man, he ain't never going back to Japan.
Yo, but the rumored money though, man.
Yeah.
$88 million. Obviously, that was the first reporting, so I don't think it's going to end up being that much. I think it's going to be less than that. Yeah, they dropped it down way less, but who knows what the back end money is going to look like.
What I think is going to be the only thing that will make this worthwhile is if he gets some sort of stake in the company, because Ryzen wants to
worthwhile for Floyd or for Ryzen.
For both parties, because Ryzen can make some headway into North America with Mayweather promotion backing. So if you give Floyd a business interest in the whole thing, then potentially you open up U.S. events, and just like one of Pride's biggest events was in Vegas.
Yeah,
Dan Henderson and Vanderlei Silva,
or obviously the Nick Diaz Takanori Gomi fight in California, even though that was marred in some PED controversy and PED using very relative
THC,
there. Yeah, God, he popped for what, like 4 times the limit.
they were like, he must have just hit a bong.
Like they concluded
out.
that he must have been actually high in the ring fighting Takanori Gomi, who at that point was the second greatest lightweight on the planet, if not the best. Shout out to Nick Diaz, crazy motherfucker. Totally forgot what we were talking about mainly.
But like, as far as Ryzen could, Ryzen could use this if Floyd has some stake in it, because clearly it don't seem to be a whole lot going on with Mayweather Promotions as a boxing entity. Tank Davis is sitting there not doing nothing.
You get the occasional Badu Jack fight.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only name you really hear from his stable. And there are fighters cycling through there all the time, but nobody seems to be doing anything with them. I think it would make sense for both parties to get in bed together.
I don't dispute that. My thing is obviously that I think that's a short-term gain. Like, I don't think Floyd's going to actually come in here and be able to be the conduit to a U.S. market for Ryzen. Like, I think at most it would be the first few months of headlines, right? It would be Floyd Mayweather partners with Ryzen and produces a Showtime deal, whatever it may be, right? Whatever that deal could potentially be with Ryzen. Maybe it's a streaming deal, like what One Championship is doing with Bleacher Report Live. But again, I think those are very short-term investments, and I also think that the long-term traction that Ryzen could gain in the U.S. is non-existent. I don't see that there being this wide audience in the U.S. waiting for 4 a.m. fights in Japan. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be it's a niche within a niche within a niche.
But that's why if you have fights stateside, then you can start getting some American fans.
Does Ryzen do that though? Because I think that was I think
that could be the opening. With Mayweather involved, it opens up not necessarily the stateside market just in and of itself. If Ryzen runs the way it has been running, but if you have a Ryzen show in Vegas, that is an entry point. That's something.
I'm not disputing that, but what I'm arguing about is the long-term effect of that. So can Ryzen keep up a business model that has U.S. events? In a lot of people's mind, the U.S. events for Pride were part of the downfall for it in some way. I don't know, again, long-term. Could Pride have a fight in Vegas with a Mayweather attachment and be successful in a way? Absolutely. I'm not disputing that. But 2 years down the line, could they keep doing that? 3 years down the line, could they keep doing that? And sustain it and make money off of it? I don't know. At most, I'll be honest, what I see is that if that scenario were to semi-happen, it's Floyd being sort of like a silent partner with them, and they just use his name as a marketing tool for a potential one-off or two-off U.S. event, and that be it.
But they do a lot of mixed events also. That's one big thing with Japanese promotions, like
or just Asian promotions. Period. Like
right.
one does that as well.
Yeah, one does that as well. Yeah. So they'll have on the same card. They'll have a Muay Thai fight. Then they'll have an MMA fight. Then it'll be some sort of submission grappling hybrid rule set.
Yeah.
Then it'll be back to an MMA for the main event. So you can have a Tank Davis or some random guy in Mayweather's stable fighting a boxing match with Japanese MMA somewhere mixed in along the card. Now that might be a weird model, but this is already a weird thing that we're witnessing. So we're seeing Floyd is going to fight tension, like a guy that a lot of legitimate MMA fighters might be a little weary to fight. You know, but he's doing it in the boxing rule, and it's going to be this weird thing. It was originally supposed to be like some Kumite blood sport bullshit. Like this sounds like we made it up. You know, so why not? If you're going to just make shit up, if you're going to just do things that don't make any sense, why not? Somebody will buy it.
Yes. Somebody bought Floyd versus Conor, obviously.
Exactly.
4 million plus buys. There's always a market for the weird. Like, I'm not going to dispute that, especially when you have names attached that are mainstream names, like a Floyd Mayweather. I just, again, sort of agree to disagree, but that long-term business model, I don't see it.
Oh, yeah,
I see a short-term business model. Don't get me wrong, because like you said, we made up MMA. Like we had two people come up with a cage design randomly
that originally was going to have a moat with alligators in it or something.
Yeah, like it's
that,
random as shit. So like, of course, the idea of having a hybrid style card, not an issue. Having this sort of connection and merging of the highest level or awareness or exposure of boxing with obscure Japanese MMA, I'm okay with that. Like I'm intrigued by that on some level. I don't know if they can make money off of it. You know what I mean? I don't know if Floyd Mayweather's going to look back at his bank account and say, "Yeah, I made money off that," or if Saki Gabara is going to say that. Saki Gabara has always been a guy to me that's power hungry. You know, the stories of what he would do back in the day with Pride and other execs, because, go read that Jonathan Snowden article if anyone listening. That really details Pride and its history and its nefarious history on Bleacher Report. Great article. But the inner factions of Yakuza being personified within their executive board, and Saki Gabara basically in a corporate style, drug turf war or gang turf war, made sure that each person that was of a different clan or different group of Yakuza were systematically put out of the company until he was the sole owner, basically, or sole operator of it. Now Ryzen, he's basically the sole operator of it. I don't know if he's going to relinquish any control to Mayweather. Or, extension to that, Heyman. Because with Mayweather, Heyman's attached.
Yeah.
And that's just an interesting mix. Al Heyman and Saki Gabara, imagine those two guys in a boardroom meeting.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that.
Oh, God.
Or you know what? I would love to see the reaction of the interpreters more than anything else. That would probably be the more entertaining part of it. The interpreters would probably take each other out for a drink afterward and try to forget that the experience ever happened. But I also do think that now we're starting to witness the combat sports being forced to come together in some way, shape, or form. Look at Fight Pass. The lineup of UFC Fight Pass is all over the combat sports spectrum. They don't have any dedicated boxing stuff just yet. But
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, ESPN Plus, DAZN as well. So there are plenty of there. Now we're seeing these sports merge. Conor and Floyd, the most obvious example.
I think it was Luke Thomas on like the MMA Beat or his own show. I forget where he said it, but he said like the barriers and the walls, the veil that separated boxing and MMA as two distinct different communities, different fandoms, different industries. That is all but gone. And Floyd Conor was a direct, not result of that, but direct
example.
Not an example, but it directly pushed the industry towards that direction, right?
Yeah.
It made. I remember being at
It put it in hyperspeed.
It did. I remember being at the build up for that, right? I didn't go to the actual fight, but I went to Fight Week. I went to all the media events, right? And seeing for the first time, really, boxing and MMA media in the same place. It was weird. Like seeing Air Hawani and the MMA fighting crew, who are ultra professional. They have the Vox backing, right? So they have all the equipment, and then you see like boxing media. And it's so much more organic, so much more independent in that way. So you have guys with camcorders running around, right? Just a different vibe, different mentality. And on top of that, that's just a personification of the fandoms crossing, which obviously we saw a lot with Conor versus Floyd. The bickering back and forth. And you have the weird people like me who love both sports out there in the middle. I think I'm a minority in terms of like the fandoms. I think I'm a growing minority, but there's maybe, 10% of people that actually are in that Venn diagram that love both sports.
I think
I don't
more
know.
that the thing is you follow both very closely.
Yes.
That's where you are the rare thing. I think more people.
You have people that love one and are casually interested in the other.
Like you have more guys like me. Like
Yes.
I follow almost everything mixed martial arts, but I tune into boxing enough.
Yes.
And I watch all the major fights, and I've covered a couple of major fights on an official capacity. But yeah, that's kind of the odd thing. I was at the one of the pre-fight things for Mayweather McGregor, the event they did, the press conference in L.A.
I wasn't at that one.
Yeah, that's the one
Which
thing.
is surprising because I'm in LA.
yeah.
I was in Florida at the time.
Okay, you skipped the one thing that was like.
I was down in Miami having a good time.
Okay, well, you would have had a better time than I had at
It's
that
guaranteed.
really weird press conference. But it was very strange to see, especially like on the racial dynamics level, to walk into that arena, walk into the Staples Center, and see literally every black guy with some sort of Mayweather TMT thing on, or they were very clearly vocally supporting Mayweather, and every white guy was the exact opposite.
And it's not just
wearing UFC shirts.
It's not just racial, which is the crazy part. It's also class difference. Like people that are really into MMA, I think, are of a higher economic status usually.
Right,
they just
yeah.
are. Boxing fandom, people that actually participate in boxing usually come from inner cities. They come from poor areas, poor neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You go down Compton, Carson, you're going to find a lot more boxing gyms.
Big time.
Than you would if you're in Orange County, in Anaheim, just because of demographics.
Right. And the training mixed martial arts,
it's expensive.
And training boxing economically are two very, very different things.
Yeah, completely. So on top of just the racial dynamics, there are difference because that is just obvious. Every boxing fight I've gone to, the ethnic mix, the melting pot that it is so much more different than MMA. Because even though in LA you do get a huge Hispanic crowd, I think, coming to fights, it's Hispanic or white, in my opinion. And then you have a few, a small percentage of black people at events, but it's predominantly Hispanic and mainly white. And also class difference. For boxing, it's 100% different. It's predominantly people of color. It's predominantly people that are a little bit poor. And to see that mixture is always interesting. People from different classes mixing is always a funny thing. I know we got off on a huge tangent. Rob is over there. He's probably sleeping. Tevin Farmer won a unanimous decision, it looked like. Rob, since you're the only one watching the fight, you want to talk about it, or are you sleeping?
No, I was just listening to Tevin talking about who he wants to fight, and yeah, he got all three judges had him 117, 111. I thought he got caught a little bit more than usual. He made it, I thought, harder work than it could have been, but he was his usual like slippery self. But for every 5 or 6 that Fonseca threw, that maybe looked like it landed on, you see it on the replays and stuff, that it's riding off gloves, he's rolling out of them and not actually really getting caught clean. But he did look like he tried to press for the knockout later on, but yeah, it was a good performance. But yeah, obviously the main event coming up. I know we've had the whole a lot of Twitter talk about this Canelo stacking his wraps and stuff. He's been re-wrapped and things like that. Obviously Tom Loeffler's had an opinion. as you'd expect. So yeah.
Oh,
But
has Tom already gone on Twitter and said something?
Yeah, about it looks like Abel Sanchez. He was right and things like that. I'll try and find that.
Shout out to Tom, man. Remember when he said that Canelo wasn't in the VADA program, and then turned out Triple G was in the VADA program, and Canelo still was? Great times. Shout out to Tommy. Neiman Gracie and Ed Ruth are also fighting on Bellator right now. Second round, a minute left in the round. Neiman Gracie looking for a arm bar, looks like belly down. I don't know if he's going to get it. Haven't really been watching it. Definitely want to go back and watch this fight, though, just from the grappling perspective of both guys. Ed Ruth being a fantastic collegiate wrestler. Neiman Gracie, obviously being of the Gracie family, always has hype behind him. What was your thoughts on this fight heading into it?
It'll just show a lot of where Ed Ruth is at. That's
and Neiman Gracie in a way.
Yeah. But I think more so Ed Ruth, because I think they really want that guy to shine. Which one thing I do love about this welterweight Grand Prix is like it's forcing these guys to fight where otherwise they would try to stack things to build up to something, but instead we're just throwing them in there and you're just seeing what's happening, and the belt is on the line the entire time. I really, really love that. I just really want to see how evolved Ed Ruth is. But then also one thing
talking to the mic there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One thing that you.
Oh man, do you hear the difference instantly?
I hear the difference.
Yeah,
there.
that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been looking at your levels, and it's like, damn, it's in the green still. It's in the green. It's on the yellow. It needs to be in the yellow.
All right. So all yellow and shit now. All right. Well, one thing too, you don't really think about when you think the Gracie name, you don't think evolution.
Yes.
The Gracie family.
You think traditional. You think.
Yeah, they are such sticklers to what they did in 1993, and that's still working now.
Even from a pure like jiu-jitsu technician standpoint, like they really haven't accepted like leg locks the way like Eddie Bravo revolutionized it in a way back in the early 2000s. I'll be honest, that's the extent of my BJJ knowledge. That's the one combat sport I wish I knew more of.
Yeah, I mean that's
I've been trying to keep up on it because obviously Fight Pass has done actually a pretty good job of featuring competition jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Which to their credit.
EBI and the offshoot of EBI combat jiu-jitsu. Yeah, they've definitely put some good stuff. Do they air Polaris also?
No, Metamoris was separate. I think they used to do Flow Combat, or they used to be through Flow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I want to say. I could be wrong about that. But they're not even running shows anymore because they got into some financial trouble, didn't they? Didn't Henry Gracie like get claims of? I'm not gonna say like not paying people, but I want to say there's some allegations of money not being right.
Yeah, it was something interesting financially going on.
Yeah,
why Metamoris disappeared.
And Metamoris was awesome.
Metamoris was great. Like just the presentation of it.
Which I'm not surprised. Maybe they had money issues because they were paying for a lot of high quality people, or I should say, high brand people. Like Josh Barnett was there. Chael Sonnen was, I think, one of the first few main events. They paid out for big names, big MMA names.
Yeah, they definitely did. I think Brendan Schaub did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Brendan Schaub made an appearance there as well. So there definitely been some high profile names that has circled through that. But the grappling world, that's just a bit more nuanced. So when you talk about a niche within a niche, I mean that is a niche within a niche times 6, because they don't. In order to really enjoy a lot of that, I think it almost requires you to train.
Yes, it does.
It's one thing, we can watch a boxing match and not know anything technically about boxing and how the X's and O's work, but you understand somebody. We can understand somebody getting punched in the face. You know, but if you don't know to look for people's hips, if you don't know what trapping this leg on this side means, or wrist control, or S mounting, you don't know these little weird terms, it's just going to sound like a bunch of,
or just like you said, just from a visual perspective.
Oh, visually, yeah.
It's a lot of little things that don't make sense to you.
They don't translate well to TV
you don't really
either.
see it in a way, you know.
It's like what people say about golf, where you watch golf on TV, and unless you golf, you don't know what you're looking at.
That's why I hate golf.
I despise golf as well.
Because I have no idea how to. I've tried it a few times. atrocious.
Never tried it. I used to work at a country club, and I never tried it. I also used to wear golf caps at one.
That is not surprising at all. You seem like a golf cap guy.
I was pretty fly. Pretty fly with the golf cap.
I bet you thought you were. I bet you thought you were.
I bet I think you're a hater.
I just see Anthony with a little like newsy, golf hat.
No, I had it backwards though.
Okay, like Samuel L. Jackson style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, come on,
I'm picturing like you in like suspenders shit, right? Like like the golf outfit, like the pants that are right here,
the plaid pants.
Yeah, I'm getting that full picture right now with the golf cap. It's great.
Some two-tone shoes.
Oh God, damn, goddamn. What were we talking about before?
Sports we don't like.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's one of those that it's finally getting some. I'm gonna use the term TV time, even though it's not getting really TV time, but it's finally giving
airtime.
It's getting airtime.
Yeah.
10 years ago, to find an Abu Dhabi link was hard.
Yeah.
There was no tournaments that you could see. There was no competitions you could really watch 10 years ago. Now you can. So hopefully that does change because it is, like you said, a niche within a niche. But those guys need to get paid, man. Like those guys at the highest level are something else on the ground.
Yeah, to see a guy like Gary Tonin or something. I mean, those guys are sensational. It is
what's
scary.
his name? I keep forgetting his name because it's kind of a difficult name. But he hangs out with Nick Diaz a lot. Kind of a Gary Tonin-like where has a good personality. White guy.
Mm-hmm. I know who you're talking about.
It's like a Turkish name, but it's not Turkish. But that might be a little bit racial. But I apologize. But it's definitely like an Eastern European. It's some sort of name that's different, right?
Now that I know that you're a white guy, now I'm be watching what you say a little closer. Now I'm watching you. I'm watching you close now, bro.
But I'm right though, right? Like it's like a Turkish name,
right?
Right? Like
You're right.
It's definitely.
I just can't think. I can't think of it.
It starts
right
with an
now.
A. It's one of those like
I'm gonna just look it up. Just look it up and just because we have all these resources.
Isn't his like Instagram called like Florida Country Boy or something like that? Like he's an interesting guy, but he's another great talent. I think I want to say he main evented the first combat jiu-jitsu on Fight Pass.
Okay.
Like 6 months ago, whenever it was. But regardless, as you're pulling that information up, Rob, let's briefly talk about Canelo, Rocky Fielding as before they make their walkouts. Any changes in your opinion on this fight? Do you think Rocky Fielding makes the distance? Do you think this fight's going to be more competitive than we thought? I think the whole stacking of the hand wraps going to be really any factor in this fight at all?
No, I think
no.
I think Canelo's just going to show his class. Rocky's there for a reason. It's noticeable that, if you're going up to super middleweight, he hasn't chosen a Callum Smith or he hasn't chosen, someone of the elite caliber in the division. I think, like I said on other shows, this is just dreamland for Rocky Fielding. Big fight at MSG against Canelo, massive crowd, the big occasion. And again, like I said in the show, I hope he just comes away with a respectable loss. Not laid completely, rendered unconscious in the middle of the ring. He can come away. Maybe we'll see the body shots take effect, and you just stay down on a knee and. After, I don't know, hopefully 6, 7, 8 rounds. But, if he can go the distance with Canelo, what a performance that'll be. That's almost winning anyway,
Yep, I agree with a lot of what you say. I'm not going to add too much to it other than I cannot wait till Brian Kenny and Sugar Ray Leonard are no longer commentators for DAZN. I obviously have not heard a word they said, but I know they've said a lot of wild, stupid shit in this telecast. Cannot wait to go back and listen to it. What was it the other day where Sugar Ray Leonard said something you remember that, Rob? He said something on Twitter. Like, he got a name wrong completely.
He called him like Kevin Field or something instead of Rocky Fielding.
Yeah, it was bad. It was like Canelo versus Kevin Fields.
What was great was a guy called Kevin Fields responded. I always love it when someone with like, if there's been a name wrong and someone with that name
actually is there. Yes, that's the God, like the God's shining down on us and saying, "Yes, we're opening up this moment for you."
But how did he know that? Did he? Is he there on Twitter typing his own name in?
I don't know. Maybe he just happens to follow Sugar Ray Leonard.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, Keith Fields does seem like a very average name,
Yeah.
right? Like Keith is an average name. Fields, pseudo-average.
Yeah.
But anyways, Rocky Fielding should get knocked out of here within 6, hopefully.
I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard, when the word Rocky is synonymous with boxing.
And you didn't even get that right.
And he got like the first night, he called him, like you say, Kevin or some shit.
It might have been Kevin. It was definitely something like really, first off, normal and just not right at all.
And yeah, I'll say some of his surname, just not all of it. I'll go with Fields.
Not the whole Fielding. Sugar Ray Leonard is just a guy that, I mean, obviously fantastic boxer in his prime, but not made for the mic. Like this, he's not that guy.
It's like some fighters, you know, we always see it like in soccer and everything. Like, oh, he was a great player, he'll be a great coach. It doesn't always work like that. Or he knows the game, he'd be a great color commentator. Or no,
they're definitely different skill sets.
Like Michael Jordan as an owner / coach.
That was exactly what I was about to say.
Is like Sugar Ray Leonard on the mic, but worse.
Why? If you're worse than Michael Jordan was as an executive,
yes.
Yeah, he was the worst thing
Have
that ever
you
happened
listened
to the Wizards.
Have you listened to Sugar Ray Leonard commentate?
Not really.
Oh my God, you are missing out.
I tend to really block out like boxing commentary unless Morrow is on there. I really don't pay it a lot of attention. Or I did like Max Kellerman and you know and Jim Lampley, but for the most part, I tune out boxing commentary.
I tune out most commentary, but the really bad ones, I listen to. I want to hear those mistakes. I'll be honest. When I know somebody's on there that's going to just, like Todd, is it Todd Grisham?
Yeah.
Whenever he's on, I want to listen because he's going to say some really stupid shit.
I did not like him as an MMA commentator. That's for sure.
I know.
Get out of there, Travis.
That's why I love it.
That was the worst call ever.
It's amazing. It's like Mayweather McGregor. Like there is a market for awful. Like there's a market for bad, and as a consumer of MMA and boxing, sometimes I want the shittiness. I want the bullshit circus show sometimes because it's hilarious. It just is.
Yeah, like you got to think there are multiple Fast and Furious movies.
Yes,
there are sequels to
Fast
scary
and
movies.
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift should never been made.
Like there are things that should never have come into existence that people keep paying for. So there it is. Sugar Ray Leonard on the mic, son.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure should not have been made. I'll say it.
Hold on.
I'll say it.
Oh, you. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's a shitty movie.
Meg, you know what?
That makes stoners look bad.
Oh, so you coming from a sensitive place of?
Yo, I'm just saying, man.
You feel like your people.
Keanu
Reeves.
Reeves, thank you. I was gonna say his last name completely wrong. Thank God I have you.
Like, how many other Keanu's do you know?
Yo,
it's Rocky Fields, isn't it?
Is that what he called him?
Fields.
But anyways, there were some movies that like just get claimed that they shouldn't. Like same with like, I don't know, like Jim Lampley, right? Obviously, tons of acclaim inside boxing. I think he's atrocious, but I love listening to him because I think he's bad. Like I think he says really stupid shit sometimes. So I want to hear that. But he's loved by boxing people. Unlike Max. Max is, I would say, Rob, you can probably echo with me on this. Max Kellerman's probably hated more than anyone on boxing commentary.
Really? I mean, Max Kellerman I thought was like my favorite voice in boxing. Was
Rob, back me up on here, right? Like boxing Twitter hates Max Kellerman.
Yeah. There's a definite argument for that.
Stephen A. Smith, another guy that says a lot of stupid shit. Got caught sleeping on the last boxing show, and Andre Ward woke him up. Yeah, I am there for that. I want all
Stephen
that.
Stephen A. Smith should only talk about basketball.
I want Stephen A. Smith and Teddy Atlas yelling at each other with only
with the cooking metaphors.
With only metaphors. That's what I want.
Yeah. So the chef became a short order cook.
Yes.
Oh man.
I want that.
It's one of the
all
worst
the time.
moments of my life was
Best
clicking
moment.
that YouTube link.
See,
hard pass.
I'm a guy that got a sick enjoyment from watching Oscar be coked up at that Golden Boy MMA press conference. I enjoyed that.
That was a disaster.
And again, it's more of a I'm laughing at it enjoyment.
Oh yeah,
I'm
like it's looking at the car accident on the highway slowing down, and it's morbid curiosity more so than actual like enjoyment.
It's when it's like back in the day when YouTube first started, when like all the compilation videos of people like hitting their nuts.
Yeah, the ultimate fail.
Yeah, like those ones were hilarious.
All right, who's singing the anthem right here?
Some Hispanic lady, I would assume.
Yeah, but explain to me. They've done the Mexican anthem. Some other woman done the Mexican anthem, and I was like, right, who've they got here to do the UK anthem? And they've just done the American anthem.
Well, of course, it's in America.
They just did the respective.
Rocky Fielding is an immigrant. So is Canelo. Respect.
just get rid of national anthems in sporting events.
Thank you.
Totally agree.
Or flyovers.
Yeah.
Sorry, not and flyovers.
What a waste of resources.
To have,
waste.
Have military jets fly over an NFL stadium
for this 0.5 seconds of there's a jet.
Imagine the timing they need on that, right? They have to time it perfectly, right? Those jets are circling for 30 minutes before then, right? They must be.
Yeah, what a waste of everyone's time.
And taxpayer dollars.
You've got like Maverick up there in a holding pattern, waiting for the woman to hit the home of the brave.
Fireworks and shit.
The gas.
Go. Requesting a But, I mean, shout out to the troops. It's a wonderful job you do, keeping all respective nations safe or whatever. But we don't need to go live to some bunker in fucking Afghanistan to see some guys standing up, holding their chest while someone's doing their own version of a national anthem.
I'll put it this way. Sport should not be a form of military indoctrination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
it should not be free publicity for the military that's over killing hundreds of thousands of people.
It's not free. The Department of Defense pays for a lot of these things. So
sorry, we pay for a lot of these
things.
Yeah. Gus Sandoval saying, how many anthems are they singing? Enough. All of them. All of the anthems.
Yeah,
God, these Hawaiian shirts. Such a bad idea. Sorry, Bellator card is just with
Josh Thompson's Hawaiian shirt is particularly bad. Like
and they have like the really cheap
the tiki
the tiki like hula skirt like bottoms on the desk for their commentary team. It's just Rob, when you get the chance, look at some photos on Google of Bellator Hawaii. You will laugh your ass off to think that somebody paid money and somebody paid money and bought all those shirts.
Yeah.
For the entire crew. The cameraman have Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Are they rocking the Bermuda shorts as well?
I didn't notice.
I didn't see shorts. I definitely the camera guys probably have shorts. The camera guys normally wear shorts. Yeah. But the desk team, the ref, well not the ref, the announcer,
yes,
and
all of them.
Everybody's got Hawaiian shirts on.
Except for Gareth Davies, your boy over in the UK.
Oh, Gareth.
He was in a full three-piece suit, sweating his ass off yesterday in Hawaii, man. That poor guy.
Gareth is a personality, that guy.
Oh, he's great.
Gareth is something else, man.
He covers like all combat sports, right?
Yes,
yeah.
He's like Kevin Iole.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't realize. I just know him through boxing, but
yeah, you catch him at your favorite MMA event with sparkling shoes on. He is quite the guy.
Yeah, he's
with a long flowy hair.
Yeah, every time he sees me, he pats me on the back and he rubs me. He's like, "Hey, sweetheart, how are you doing?" He's a funny dude. Man.
That's true, right? Yeah. He's all right though. He's a good dude.
He's a nice guy.
I'm shocked he hasn't got like a commentary gig somewhere.
He
has the voice for it.
But you know what? He probably travels too much for his duties.
True.
To take a weekend.
But I'm shocked more in the UK, Robbie could probably answer, like a BT Sports or a Sky. I'm surprised no one has hired him to be a ringside reporter or a desk analyst, something. Only because he's a good talker, charismatic, definitely more of an eccentric vibe, and I think that translates well on camera.
I don't agree.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a little bit too. Yeah, you know, guys. I don't know. He's it's just a bit proper. I think for getting all excited and revved up, giving out commentary or something. But I know he was also on the receiving end, like Radio Raheem. He had Deontay Wilder take the glasses off and stare deep into his soul.
But I think Deontay was just messing with him. And that,
but I don't think that was even like directed towards like Gareth. You know what I mean?
No,
like
it was,
the Radio Raheem thing was like, I'm pissed off at you, Radio Raheem. Gareth Davis was like, hey, you're just here in front of me, and you're the one. You're the one with the camera.
It's like you're from the same country as the guy I'm fighting, so you tell your people this. Like he was, and I think Deontay was just having fun with him. I don't think he meant anything malicious or intimidating or anything about it. He was just playing with him. But of course, a guy who's 6'7",
but I know it got a big reaction. Like, holy shit! Why does the big 6 foot whatever dude have to look like he? I don't know. A lot of people were saying it like intimidating, like, the poor geeky white guy that was just happened to be trying to.
But Gareth, hey, to his credit though,
no,
he didn't look intimidated. He looked completely fine there.
I think he just took it for what it was. Deontay just saw a publicity opportunity.
It's a press conference,
and
man.
He was having fun with it. Because the thing is, like all these fighters, if you go to enough events, the fighters do start knowing who you are.
Yes.
They start knowing you, and you kind of develop some sort of rapport with them.
Yes. Some better than others, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But of course, Gareth is at every major fight, so
and he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, so even if you weren't on all these major cards, you've read his work. You've seen him on YouTube, so you have some familiarity with him. So he's got rapport with these guys instantly.
I want to say he started as like a beat writer back in the day during like the Frank Bruno era. I want to say that's how he got his start. Like he started like in the early Lennox era, like as a beat writer for some like magazine or outlet. And he's just stayed in the game for now nearly 30 years, it seems. Like he's been around for a very long time. People don't think about it.
I mean, that clip that went sort of semi-boxing viral of Wilder removing the glasses, and that when you actually watch the full clip, you could tell he's like, I think there was a few guys like, holy shit, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I love it. This, I said to him, so this is the bronze bomber now we're seeing, not Deontay Wilder. And he told me he had a message for Tyson Fury. He actually told me, tell your guy, because he saw that I done.
I like how Rob's like actually like has that enthusiasm that Gareth has, right? You can tell like that's a good impression. I'm just gonna be honest. That was good.
I do a mean Shelley Finkel as well, but it's good.
Canelo and Rocky Fielding are in the ring right now as the final sort of fighter announcements are being made by Michael Buffer. Last sort of predictions, thoughts on this fight, gentlemen?
Canelo's probably going to wash this guy.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's pretty much all I got to say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So now now we'll just see how he washes.
Yep, that's basically what I'm saying. Yep. Definitely. I'm more interested, obviously, in the business side of this fight or this deal than anything right now. Like I'm curious if they're going to release numbers. Like even if it's some bullshit PR release, I kind of want that. I want them to say, "Hey, 500,000 people joined up for this month, whatever it is." Right? I want to hear a number.
Well,
I know we won't, but I want to hear a number.
I don't think we'll. Here's the thing. I think you will be more likely to hear a number for this than we will for the second time Canelo fights on his own. Because right now, I bet you a huge percentage of the people watching are on that free trial.
Yes.
When that free trial is gone and you get that second fight, now we'll see how many people are tuning in. How many people are still paying that $10?
I agree, Rob.
And that will also, I think, come down to who the dance partner is. I think... you say, you're watching this probably because it's free, and
it's the first one.
It's free because it's also Rocky Fielding. Had that been Triple G standing across the ring from him, this wouldn't have been free.
And on top of that, like, what is as a corporate entity, how does DAZN use a Canelo Triple G's numbers to their advantage? Like, is it only behind the scenes business moves that they use those metrics, like Netflix does? Like, we never hear Netflix numbers, right? We never hear Amazon Prime numbers. We never hear Hulu numbers. That's all used behind the scenes for deals, right? We maybe hear occasionally like the Friends deal. They got $100 million, right, to revamp their license with Netflix. We need something with DAZN. We've heard stuff with ESPN Plus. We've heard subscriber counts. We've heard numbers that they've thrown out. Even though it's a press release and it's not vetted, it's not independently viewed, I understand that. But at least they gave us a number. DAZN not giving us a number this entire time is a concern. Now, maybe that's just their business model, and they won't do it, period, which I'm okay with if that's the case. Be consistent. If you're just not going to release numbers, don't release numbers. But like Ant said, I'm definitely think we're going to hear some sort of number, some sort of metric they use to big up their platform after this fight. They have to.
Yeah. And then they'll go silent.
I mainly agree with that, yeah.
No. But
I think
still...
it came out when they broke the million, didn't they? They come out and said, we've hit a million subscribers or something like that. So, you know, like you said the other day, Matt, this is, you know, DAZN aren't going to get their money back on this, you know, humongous deal on Canelo. This is purely to get people on board.
He's a lost leader, to use the economic term.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, but, you know, we're just about to see. And, you know, shout out to my boy Rocky from the UK. But there's so much flag waving you can do. But you know what I mean? So I know everyone gives me the grief. I always back the Brit. But obviously I'm rooting for him. But obviously my brain's kicking in and saying, you know, just come out of it safe, Rocky.
That's all right. I always root for the black guy. It's okay.
Yeah, you root for your own, man. Like, hey,
it's
I'll guarantee you, if you see a Portuguese boxer or fighter, like straight Portuguese, I'm waving that Portugal flag like it's no other. I'm going to sing songs. I'm going to learn Portuguese just for that fight. Trust me. But guess what? There are 0 Portuguese fighters. I never have to worry about that.
I'm sure there's plenty of ginger casuals that are just rooting for the ginger guy right now.
But like even like Brazilian, like Portuguese, like that doesn't connect with me in the same way. It just doesn't. It's just different, you know.
Do you speak Portuguese?
No.
Okay. Because I was.
I can actually do a mean Portuguese accent. I'm not gonna do it right now.
Okay, because
on the spot I can't do it.
All
like,
right.
You know, like that's the flow. You know, shut up, Rob. I see you laughing over there.
Can't sell it as a great.
Okay. You know what? Keep losing hair. Keep losing hair. I see the shine off your head.
Sorry. And at the same time, Lyoto Machado and Rafael Carvalho are about to fight. So they're making their fighter announcements right now. So my eyes are going to be all over the place.
Yeah, poor Ant. I'm just going to be focused on Canelo. Yeah. I don't need to see Machida fight in 2018. I'll be honest. Especially not Bellator. Like that just does nothing for me, man. Like other than I want to see Gegard Mousasi fight. I want to see I want to see a rematch.
Are you going to the forum for the Fedor?
Nah. Well, Fedor's no longer fighting on the card.
Oh, that's official now. He's not. On
I don't think it's official, but I think that's probably going to happen.
I just submitted my credential the other day, so.
Woohoo!
Hoping to see Fedor.
Round 1 starting.
All right,
Canelo versus Rocky Fielding. A little bit quiet, but you know, it's only 1,000 Rocky fans there. It's okay. Another 15,000 Canelo fans.
Rocky be on the jab.
He's winning. Good. He's winning.
Winning.
He's winning so far.
It's been 20 seconds. Good right hand on the body there by Canelo.
Canelo looked like going to the body early.
The size difference is epic.
Yeah, Canelo should definitely go back to middleweight after this. Hopefully this was just a one-off to collect an easy regular belt. Oh, good left hand on the body there by Canelo.
Nice. He is firing these shots in.
God,
yeah, this isn't going to last very long. This is not going to last long.
Just like for Canelo to be such a smaller guy, his punches look so different compared to Rocky's when they land. And plus, like Rocky, like no discredit to him because obviously he's just not the level of boxer that Canelo is. He doesn't really roll with the shots that well. Canelo rolls the shots very well. Rocky tries to just crunch up and absorb
himself
them.
And
that's just a bad way to do it. He doesn't roll with the shots, doesn't use physics to his advantage at all.
Rocky is
man,
already marking up like a white guy should. He's got red arms. He's got some on
his ribs.
The side of his face, shoulders.
And Canelo is actually pretty aggressive right here. He's throwing combinations early.
You know, he's fighting him like he did Triple G,
which he should do.
Sequel,
I mean, obviously, I think to be on the back foot against Rocky just gives him rounds. He shouldn't.
Oh man, dropped him with the body shot.
I was talking. I didn't even see the body shot.
Yeah.
I was just about to say,
Hit
notice
him with a-
Canelo's knee brace, but then I noticed Rocky's ribs break. So
Remember Canelo had that knee brace since he had that cosmetic surgery on his knee, which to this day,
Cosmetic surgery?
I don't know what that means when you have cosmetic surgery on your knee.
You had a knee tuck. Oh, you a knee model? Like
I don't know. And he fought like a month after that and fought Triple G in the rematch. I don't understand it.
Come on.
Oh, a little right hook uppercut there by Rocky. That was good, but the
that
body
double.
shots.
Oh.
Canelo's such an aggressive combination guy on the inside nowadays. He wasn't like that before.
The speed and velocity of his shots are just.
And obviously, Rocky Fielding is a made opponent to make Canelo look athletic too. Like Rocky Fielding, for all the credit we can give him, athlete, not one of them.
I mean, look, Rocky's however much bigger, and he's on the back foot retreating. These shots are obviously they hurt, and
can't keep
he's
Canelo
not
on the
using-
outside.
The only advantage he's got is his size, and he's not able to use it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Canelo's head movement, goddamn.
Yeah, it's hard to touch that guy.
Round one, go on, Rocky. Good.
Wow, you're only barely ahead of us now. It wasn't 30 seconds anymore. I'm happy about that.
He must have buffered enough times to.
And you know what else is the difference? We went to PS4 app for DAZN. PS4 app compared to like browser for DAZN, a little bit faster.
Okay.
Or not faster, but it's a little more closer to whatever Sky would have right now, whatever it may be, or Paramount Network, for Bellator.
That body shot.
PlayStation View's the other way around.
Oh yeah, I hate PlayStation View. I have it,
Yeah.
but it's like a minute and a half difference.
Yeah,
that body shot was right on that floating rib area.
I'm surprised Rocky even made it out of that round with the amount of body shots that Canelo was
Yeah,
connecting.
that was
and like
nasty.
clear liver shots too. Like it's 4 rounds tops, right? Like I
honestly, I'd be surprised if he makes it out of this round.
True.
Especially with Canelo being so active right now, like
Yeah,
aggressive.
If he fights the exact same, I don't see this making out of this round.
He should punch him in that cosmetically repaired. Sweep the leg, Daniel.
I mean, before that surgery, his knee was really ugly.
It was. But that's nothing a good knee tuck can't sort out.
Yeah, I mean, no reason to let an ugly knee hold back your modeling career.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You're making jokes, but I guarantee you there's a knee model out there, right? Like
who's probably really offended on the chat right now.
I guarantee you there's like leg models.
Yeah, definitely leg models. That
right?
makes sense.
And that includes the knee. See, not thinking here.
Okay.
Gotta get all those revenue streams if you're Canelo. Gotta get that get that model deal.
All those wide angle shots for like ankle bracelets. You got to have a nice knee.
Well, I like the way he snuck that 2 in there to the body.
His right hand to the body is probably his best shot, in my opinion,
Yeah,
for
that
Canelo.
was-
Because it sets up everything for him. More so than the jab, more so than anything. That right hand of the body sets up his right hand up top, opens up that left hook for him.
I like too how he throws a lot more right hooks than most boxers throw. I like that. 'Cause you see the
really
right
handled
hook,
that
that
body
rear hook. You see a lot in MMA, but not so much in boxing.
Yeah, the ratio is more like 3 jabs to 1 right hand, something like that.
Yeah.
In boxing, it feels like.
He really thinks that body shot right in there.
Yeah, when I would hold mitts at the boxing gym I used to work at, the guys who came from just pure boxing backgrounds always thought it was so weird that I would hold for right hooks. And why are you holding for that? Like MMA, it happens.
Good left hook to the body there, but
That was really nice.
Oh, good uppercut.
Rocky responded with a little something there.
Well, I mean,
but-
obviously, Rocky's going to get his licks in just because Canelo's on the inside, but none of
but
these
it's not-
shots are
it's
effective.
of no consequence, really.
Yeah.
It just shows that he's still alive.
Canelo looks like the
essentially.
bigger man in there in terms of how the fight's playing out, if that makes sense.
Well, I
Much
mean,
as like
body
Rocky.
type. Rocky is longer, but
The
the
mass
Canelo
on
is
Canelo.
clearly the more muscled,
Brolic.
stronger looking guy. Yeah, and his build looks a lot different than it did in the at least the first Triple G fight. I was at that open workout, man, and his
Down again.
oh wow. Yeah, and his body looked like he almost looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
the way the muscle was stacked on. Now he looks more functionally strong.
Oh, brave guy. Good luck.
Had to mess up my prediction, huh?
It's okay. I'll be right. When he gets him out in the 4th round, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, we know this isn't going to decision. That is
at this
very
pace,
clear.
2 rounds, 2 knockdowns to the body.
Yeah. Canelo's got his rounds in for 2018. So now it's time to get up out of there.
Machida versus Carvalho looks like it's interesting. I saw Machida bleeding in the 1st round.
Oh, he was about to do something crazy.
Oh, God, with that huge head kick right
See,
there.
what I really want to look for is if Machida is hesitant to pull the trigger. But I think Carvalho's just overwhelming him right now. Yeah. I don't think we really can see much from that.
Canelo in the highlight reel right now, landing good shots, slipping shots. Canelo, man, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the game right now. Oh, God damn, that left hook.
That was mean.
Oh. Yo, how do you get up from that? Honestly, like that hurts. Body shots are the worst.
Yeah, when you drop from a body shot, you're in pain. It's you get
Can't
dropped
breathe.
from a headshot. It's your equilibrium got disrupted. You may be disoriented, but you don't necessarily feel pain. For those who are listening that have never taken a punch, but yeah, you get dropped with a body shot. Yeah, that's all pain and misery. I love the way he's doubling up that left hand.
Ooh, right hand through the guard there by Canelo. And yeah, the double left hook up top and down low. I mean, it's textbook. Like it's what Miguel Cotto was like back in 140 pounds with that left hook.
And it's like you maybe get up from that first one and it just takes just another knock on that. And it's like each one is just sinking in, and then there'll be eventually another one that's just too much. And sometimes it's not even the heart that makes you want to get up again. It's like, I just can't take any more.
Yeah, I like too how the way he's able to sneak those body shots in, because he's not completely dropping his level when he throws the body shot. He, sometimes he's standing upright and then just reaches down. So you really have, that's not something that you want to do
all the time
solely, But the way that he can mix that up, it really keeps somebody guessing. Like you genuinely don't know where he's gonna hit you.
That hurt him again.
Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt bad. Boy, that hurt bad.
And I mean, Canelo doesn't look. And when he does this, he doesn't do it as extreme as others, but he'll pick an angle side to side with his shots when he has him against the ropes, and really land it from a good angle there. And while guys, you see. Do the long jump around and then throw in, long jump around and then throw in. Canelo's a little more subtle with his movement when he dips side to side and goes and finds that angle. And again, it's always like there's no clear pattern to it. Like we know what Canelo does well, but he mixes it up enough to where it's not the same 3-punch combinations over and over again.
That looked
heavy. Oh,
that moved him.
Yeah, he put him down on that one. Well, he still got the smile on his face.
Yeah, about to be right. One more round. Let's go.
Come on, get him out of there as soon as possible.
There's that Conor McGregor lookalike in the audience. Not the same one, but it kind of looks like
was that the one I interviewed?
No, not that one.
Okay.
The referee's waved it off.
90 seconds.
Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call in, you better call in now and get in the queue because phone lines are about to be shut off. But if you call in now, your call will be accepted. If you call in 90 seconds from now, you won't be able to get in. 323-870-4051. Canelo Alvarez just defeating Rocky Fielding via 3rd round TKO via body shot.
Don't forget the stacked hand wraps.
Via stacked hand wraps.
60 seconds.
I want to say he did exactly what we want him to do. Like, there's no, extreme praise we can really give Canelo. He did exactly what he was expected to do, what we want him to do, and he did it. He did all that we asked of him. And still looks, as expected, to be a pound-for-pound talent in the sport. And this new venture to zone, cannot wait to see what happens with that. Rob?
Yeah, I mean, you say you know, can't really give a great deal of praise for doing what you expect someone to do or want them to do. If they do what you want them to do, then you should praise them. Obviously, he, you know, very businesslike. He could have easily come in. You know, everyone was telling it, Rocky Fielding that he's, you know, he's gone there to lose, and I guess you can take your eye up. But he seems
10 seconds.
Ultra professional. I watched the part 2 of the Journey, like DAZN's version of 24/7.
I still have not seen that. I want to go back and watch it.
They're really good, and it's given me a different. Although again, it's still having to be translated and the subtitles, but it gave me another look at Canelo, and I sort of maybe feel a little like a little opinion change of the guy. He's clearly very, very dedicated, and they gave Ryan Garcia the opportunity, and he was asking him questions, and hopefully that kind of the will and wanting to be that star and go next level can rub off on someone like a Ryan Garcia, because he's obviously got the skills that can do it. But yeah, Canelo just proved too much for poor Rocky, you know. But he kind of was the sacrificial lamb. This was his first outing on DAZN, so he was someone he was supposed to shine on. Now I guess it's going to be more does Canelo want to go on and unify the division? Are we going to be looking at? I know Daniel Jacobs is ringside. I know they've Oscar said it won't be him, but obviously we now know Lemieux fucked up on making weight.
Yeah.
So are they going to look at Lemieux even still in May? But yeah, we'll have to see. But obviously this was set up to be what it was. You know, Canelo's outing on first time out on DAZN, and give him that W.
Quickly, shout out to Smoking Jay Franklin in the chat. Long-time listener saying you guys didn't call the fight at all. Just talk nonsense until knockdowns. But thanks for being here to watch it with. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Smoking. I hope all the nonsense was still enjoyable and educational, because I do think we talked about a lot of things of substance.
Yeah, we covered a few different topics, but yeah, sorry we didn't actually call the fights. Maybe
I will be honest though, when I have somebody in the studio here for a show and we do going on 4 hours of radio, we're gonna talk about nonsense.
We've been here for 4 hours.
I pressed record before we went live, so Patreons would get some extra stuff that we talked about. Shout out to Patreons. But we've been recording for 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh shit, that's what's up.
Yes.
Maybe all right. So maybe for the ESPN Plus UFC debut, maybe we should actually try to call the fights.
That's debatable. I don't know about that. That just seems risky.
That's boring.
Which one of us?
Where else have people heard about knee models?
Exactly, man.
That is true. We are the exclusive source of knee models.
Talking about class and race and combat sports. Talking about PDs, Yakuza.
Yeah.
And
men's nipples.
Yeah, men's nipples and PDs. I mean, come on. This is the only show for you, right? I mean, for anyone listening, where can you get this content?
Hit that subscribe. Press the share.
Hit the like button while you at it. Shit.
Share the show. Listen on podcasts. And I should say this from the very beginning. If you listen on podcasts, watch or listen to the whole show, because, like Smokin' said, we definitely didn't commentate everything. This wasn't a live by live. This was literally a 4-hour podcast where like some fights were happening.
Yeah, maybe in the background.
Maybe you guys know a failing knee model and needs a reconstruction on their knees.
You're welcome, everyone. But Ant, thoughts on Canelo Fielding before we go to UFC on Fox?
I mean, that was kind of what we thought it was going to be. Canelo did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he did it very quickly. So there's really nothing else to say on that. I do like how he's kind of kept that same aggression that he showed in the Triple G fight or fights. I mean, he kept that aggression up, working the body. Very good offense, good variety. I like it. Yeah, who's next?
I think for a lot of people, that next fight in May for Cinco de Mayo is going to be sort of a make or break it moment for their perception of the Canelo DAZN deal. I think a lot of people that are critics of DAZN, critics of this deal, have given this fight a pass because they know what it is. They know it's for Canelo Alvarez, it was his third fight in a calendar year, or I should say second fight in a calendar year, third planned fight in a calendar year. That doesn't happen all the time for these level of fighters. On top of that, it was him moving up in weight, They knew what this was. So I think this fight got a pass. The next one won't get that pass.
No.
Will the next month that Canelo fights in May, would that be a free trial month? I don't know. But again, that I think would be a huge point where people either say, yep, this is a good deal, or nope, this is a bad deal. And whether that's fair or unjust, because again, I think even from a pure monetary standpoint, you're paying $120 a year for DAZN compared to the last paradigm of $150 for 2 events. For 2 events. Now you're getting 50 plus, 100 plus events on DAZN from all across combat sports for $120 a month. Pure monetary standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, I can't hate on that. Even if he's going to fight a David Lemieux at 168 defending his regular belt, which I know I saw you shake your head there, Rob, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, but no thank you.
No thank you. But
no.
Is it worse than Angulo? Is it worse than Amir Khan moving up in weight to fight him? Again, we've, as the consumer, have paid for a lot of bad fights. Hell, we paid $100 for Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. So, again, from a pure monetary standpoint, I will support DAZN. I will support this movement, at least. Even if it's not DAZN in name, I will support the movement towards streaming because I think it is the future. But again, if he doesn't fight a Jacobs, Andrade, or Triple G in May, Canelo and DAZN are going to get some criticism across the board.
I thought it was interesting. He seemed to seek out Ryan Garcia and told him to get up in the ring. And as you can see, he stood behind him right now.
Well, I will say this.
Good moment for the kid.
Yes, and on top of that, Canelo is close to that point where it's now more important about who he brings up more so than his legacy. Just like a musician, like Jay-Z, it's about who he brings up. What young artists he accepts. Mayweather, what young fighters has he brought up? That's been the huge knock against Mayweather as a promoter, right? Is that he's brought up 2 or 3 people, and they've all had mediocre success or, like Gervonta Davis, obvious issues with their promoter, and that has hurt his career. Can Canelo be the opposite of that? Can he be what Oscar was in the beginning? A guy that brought up so many young fighters from all across the sport and produced new talent, the next generation. I think Canelo is probably aware of that as sort of his next legacy is who has he affected? What fighters has he brought up? Ryan Garcia is that guy for him in a way. And if he's smart, he knows he can ride that and be, the next Oscar of boxing.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, Ryan's doing all the right moves. That he's got the New York
jersey,
basketball jersey on or whatever. So, it's turning into a bit of, in the same camp. There's a real machine behind it now. I'm not sure what Canelo's saying as far as his next fight. And again, I know Jacobs is ringside. I don't think there's any more room for anybody in that ring right now. So I don't think we're going to have a moment where they're face to face. But yeah, Canelo, he's got that. What is it now? 51 fights.
Yeah,
he's been fighting a hell of a long time.
Fighting since he was 16.
That's right. Yeah, and I guess the clenbuterol thing. Oh, he's just met with. He's there with.
There we go, Daniel Jacobs. Okay. I'm okay with them being pleasant too. I don't need them shoving.
We don't need that. Like they're both incredible fighters. If they meet each other in the ring, it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
so we don't need to attach an artificial beef to it.
And plus, I mean, it would seem so artificial between those two, right? Like, of all the guys to not really carry an artificial beef, because some guys can, right? Some guys can make that artificial beef and make it sell.
Adrian Bronner or something like that.
They can't do that.
Yeah, that's not them.
No, it's not. Hey, they met and it was on screen. That's all we needed. There's gonna be a picture going around of Canelo shaking his hand, and I'm not gonna say bowing his head, but kind of looked like he bowed his head in a way, and just that mutual respect, I think, will pay dividends.
Forgot about Charlo. I forgot about that as a.
Well, I don't know if you know this. William Monroe Jr., his opponent for next week, just got popped for an adverse finding by VADA.
Well, this just happened today?
Yeah, it happened today.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Obviously, William Monroe Jr. is a fighter under the snack system with Victor Conte. So there's that connection, so to speak. And I've always been a very
Victor Conte is going to get some sort of promotion from this.
Yeah, he's gonna be seen as the savior of PD regulation when one of his fighters tested positive. Yeah, whatever. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I think they talked about Matt Korobov moving up on the card and fighting Jamal Charlo. Just sad. More and more, it seems like Jamal Charlo is on that island alone in the middleweight division on PBC with Andrade, Canelo, and Jacobs, all the champions in the division on DAZN.
Yeah, so I was just watching the replays there. That right hook that broke through the guard and knocked him down. Jesus, he really. When we seen him like hitting the bag before, and he just like this thudding sound, but seeing it land on Rocky there in slow motion, that looks
painful,
savage. But yeah,
painful.
Absolutely savage.
Let's briefly talk about UFC on Fox 31 as we wrap up the show. The end of the era, Was it a appropriate end? I thought the card up and down was a good card. Just weird. It's just, when things end, just like the HBO card the other week, it's weird to contextualize huge moments in history, because that's what this is. Maybe not world history, but MMA history, right? It's a huge moment. So early from it happening. I need time to really think about it. What do you think, Anthony?
My initial thought is that it shows kind of where the UFC is today as far as the schedule that they have. Keep in mind, the UFC on Fox era started with a heavyweight title fight that was highly anticipated between two of the two biggest talked about names at that time in the sport, Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos. And that was a fight that everybody wanted to watch if you were a fan of mixed martial arts. But instead of going out with that similar sort of bang, you go out with, granted, Kevin Lee and Iaquinta are very, very elite fighters. They are very good, and they are highly ranked guys for a reason. But they were the best that was kind of available right now. That wasn't. You look at some of the past UFC on Fox offerings earlier in that tenure. You saw some title fights. You saw Ben Henderson defend his title.
Demetrius Johnson used to be a big
as well.
Fox feature. Yes.
Right. You saw guys coming off of title fights. You saw like Holly Holm when she just lost her belt against Valentina Shevchenko. Although that was probably one of the more lackluster.
But in terms of name value.
But the name value, exactly. Dominic Cruz, I think that was a Fox Sports 1 event when Dominic Cruz won his belt back from TJ
Yeah, that was
Dillashaw.
weird. I don't know why they did Fox Sports 1 for that.
Yeah, that was a strange one. But I think you get my point in that. You start off with this huge title fight and you end it with with a lightweight fight.
Top 10 lightweight fight.
Yeah, a meaningful lightweight fight, but it didn't have
not a number one contender fight.
Exactly. It didn't have that immediate title picture in mind that the platform of Fox was supposed to be about. And that just shows an overstretched schedule, which is going to carry over into this ESPN deal while they're picking up more events. We saw Anaheim just lost 233 as a result of this oversaturation and trying to mix and match these cards and piecemeal things together. So we'll see what it looks like. But as far as the business goes, this is a beautiful thing for the UFC. They're getting, a $10 million valuation on every single event?
Yeah, something like that. Like, they're making money. And the more and more I've done research and looked into it in terms of, for pay-per-view events specifically, like the distributor split and how those are a fight-by-fight deal. And so, for example, real world entities, so people listening can understand, UFC goes to DirecTV, Comcast, Xfinity, Time Warner, right? The cable providers, right? Each one of those is a separate deal for pay-per-view splits for their distributors. Each fight is its separate deal. So when we've always talked about, that 50% off the top, right? That was always a myth. Same with this new 70%. That's not technically true. It's not like this new blanket deal for 70%. And that goes for all events. We know so little about how they make money in the sport, I feel like, in some way. We know vaguely ticket sales are a big aspect of it. Obviously, ad rates on TV and TV license fees, those are obviously a big factor. Site fees You know, we know vaguely how they make money, but we know so little about it. And yet, in the same era that we've seen a stretching of the sport, right, stretching it to its real limits, they have made more money than ever before. That's a weird dynamic where I think the consumers feel this oversaturation effect, but the corporations, the execs, they're not. So that's why it won't change. That's why this ESPN deal is just the same still. That's why boxing is now moving towards this paradigm. And I think it takes more research, I think, not only on my end, but everyone's end to understand how do they make money off of us, the consumer, to fund this oversaturated market, because they obviously are funding it. I don't think Dana White, the Fertittas, WME, whoever it may be, Al Heyman, Bob Arum, everyone's making money off this somehow, right? Even though events are worse off than they were before. The overall average pay-per-views have declined rapidly, but yet they're still making bank. That's not concerned. Maybe we haven't been vocal enough as a consumer base. I don't know. But the Fox deal, the more and more I look about it, or more and more I look into it, the more and more I think about it, the more I think those big macroeconomic negative side effects, so to speak, it's had on the sport, I think that will be its lasting legacy, unfortunately. Not so much how great it was that it expanded the exposure of the sport, though that is a narrative, that is definitely a legacy, a part of its legacy. I think the movement Fox and the UFC made for combat sports across the board to be oversaturated and to still be behind paywalls regardless has hurt the consumers of the last decade and will continue to hurt the consumer. I don't know how to remedy that at all. Like, there's just me ranting at this point, but there's something there. Now, to the fight itself, because I haven't talked about the fight, Kevin Lee, Iaquinta, that was a fun fight. Definitely want to watch that one again because it seemed controversial in the scoring. Edson Barboza, fantastic win over Dan Hooker. I mean, the card itself,
he needed that win.
Was a good card. I hope everyone enjoyed the card. I hope everyone enjoyed the DAZN card. Bellator has just wrapped up, I believe. No, there's one more.
Main event's about
to start. Yeah. We will not stay live for the main event. I do apologize. It's late. But Ant, always great to have you here.
Definitely, man.
Any sort of final remarks on the night itself, on any of the fights, anything?
Just more so about the era that we're in. Keep in mind, pro wrestling has driven all of this. The WWE was the first to experiment with streaming as their primary platform. Now the UFC has followed that with Fight Pass, and now moving into ESPN Plus, we see DAZN loading up our evening with Bellator and Canelo. Bellator last night as well. We are in the middle of a major transition in how we view entertainment, and combat sports is entertainment. So this is a part of a changing paradigm.
And it's been a staggered change in the paradigm. From like music, for example, already changed. Like the music industry figured out a way to monetize streaming and make that its prominent business model. Look at Spotify, look at Apple Music, etc.
But they went through a lot of growing pains to get there.
100%.
We're going through ours as combat sports fans.
And just as TV properties for streaming, Netflix was really the first to break that barrier for TV shows, for movies, right? Hulu as well. Now it's sports. Sports was the last thing because why? TV companies and networks have always valued live sports more than anything. Why? Because you're more likely to sit there and watch it live instead of DVR and skip commercials. So the ad revenue for live sports has always been more premium than the sitcom. That's why the NBA, NFL, regardless of growing trends of their numbers falling along with the cord cutting age, they still get each year a bigger deal than before. Why? Because they know you're going to watch it live. And paradigm shifts are always fun. It's hard to be in it it's hard to see it, the good of it, when you're in the middle of the eye of the storm. But the storm is shifting. It's shifting the industry, and I think it's going to shift it for the positive. Again, we're seeing not a year ago, 2 years ago, Canelo was fighting twice a year, 2 events, $150 out of your pockets. Now it's $120 a year for a lot more than those 2 events. It's a good shift. It's a start of something better. Shout out to the fighters that fought on the card, obviously, on all the cards. Fantastic events overall. fun fights throughout. Can't wait to watch them back again. If you're listening, definitely drop that 5-star review on iTunes. If you're listening on YouTube, drop that like button, share the show, subscribe. And Mr. Boxing saying new name. Yeah, we had some issues with YouTube. That's why it's called MCRNet right now. Don't want to get into it. YouTube is on some bullshit. But anyways, we'll be back Monday live. No show tomorrow. Me and my kid are going to go to a dinosaur museum tomorrow.
Oh, that's what's up.
That's what's up, right? So that should be fun. Ant, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ant Walker MMA. That's ANTWAL. Why did I spell my name? ANTWAL.
Do you want me to spell it for you?
KERMMA.
Well, it is common spell, like Walker, like Texas Walker Ranger.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Same shit.
Yeah.
That was before my time. I got the 3 words right.
You got the 3 words
sequence
right.
might not have
You
been.
got more right than I got right. And
that
it's
is
my own damn
definitely
name.
true.
So, and shout out to Matt the hipster. Although now Matt the heartthrob hunter, since you took a young lady out.
Nah, still hipster.
Okay.
Yeah. Heartthrob. Nah, I'm not gonna go with that. I'm good. I've never been called a heartthrob in my life. Oh my god. Anyways, have a great night. Stay safe out there. If you're drinking and driving, don't do it. If you're at a bar somewhere watching the fights, be safe out there. Get an Uber. Obviously, follow us, MCR Radio Show on Twitter, Mixed Combat Radio on Facebook, MCR Podcast on Instagram. Follow me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Any inquiries at all, email me, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com. Have a great night. Peace.